practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden messages.
A special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimilla, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn. And we have in studio, see, we're doing better now. We actually have people here. It's not just me by myself. We got Richard. And Richard, I don't even know your freaking last name.
Haynes.
Haynes?
Yeah.
Not Hayes, though.
No, Haynes.
You know, why didn't you just change it to Hayes? That'd be the most obvious. That'd be the most obvious stoner thing to do. Like, yeah, my name is now Richard Hayes. Boom. Because you never thought of it. There you go. See, there we go. The show was so worth it. You have your on my show. You're now Richard Hayes. So there we go.
I'll go create a
Haynes. I just think of underwear, dude. I can't go there.
I'll go create a glass.
It's like, hey, it's not the guy with the unless you were the Haynes guy. If you were like family was the Haynes, I would just say, yeah, definitely keep the Haynes. But I'm not sure what all that is. That's the same mysterious ghost. It's Halloween coming up, guys. Come on.
It's a little traumatizing.
It's weird, right? There's just some screaming, like, pain. Somebody in pain somewhere in the building, but we went up and looked, and there was nothing. There
was nothing.
It was pretty spooky, wasn't it?
It was a little bizarre.
We were like, oh, there's somebody hurt. And we ran up, and there was like, there is absolutely nothing going on anywhere. So welcome to the show. We have in studio coming in about 20 minutes or so. Guys from GrowLife. I don't know if it's going to be guys or guy. We'll see. It's going to be somebody. And they're one of our new sponsors, and also one of our other new sponsors is going to be on the show later. And he's been a guest on the show before. He did not win this year, so it's not as triumphant as the year when he actually was the world record pumpkin hole, and the entire fucking he won it 2 years ago. Last year, his dad actually beat him, so that was kind of humiliating. And then we have to talk about it. And then this year, I think he got up there, but it didn't. It was a rough year. So we're going to go through and talk with Ron Wallace from WOW, who's now sponsoring the show because he is crossing over from pumpkins into cannabis.
It's going to be an interesting crossover.
It's awesome. It's with the show we did originally with him. It was just like, dude, this is exactly the fucking same. Everything was the same timing and everything, but there was different requirements, of course, but for the most part, as far as like, putting it in the ground, the time when you're babying it, and then the time when you're pumping it, and all those things are just kind of like the same. But the crazy thing is with the pumpkins, it was 45 to 55 pounds a day at the peak when they're just cranking out. So you could sit out there and like hear them go kind of cracking and growing. And it's like, fuck. So it was pretty awesome shit. So we're going to have him at the end of the show. And then, let's see, in between, maybe, I haven't heard from Mr. Bean. I don't know if James Bean is on the scene today. We'll have to find out. If he is, he's going to call in at 4:20 and give us his little update. No breeders this week, guys, so don't despair. Next week, we have Subcool on the show. It's going to be a very interesting show.
That's going to be a good one.
That is going to be good. I mean, it's literally... people are like, it's classic. It's almost like with DNA. Like, I don't know. I've asked them to be on the show a bunch of times. They haven't been on the show yet. But, everyone's like, oh, you guys got beef. You guys got beef. It's like there's so much like so-called beef in the industry that you just can't keep up. And like you don't even know when you're in it. Like sometimes, like, because I didn't know that I was in any beef. I was like, am I in a beef? I guess I am.
Until you hear about it randomly.
Well, no, there was a song made.
Oh.
Yeah, they made a diss song. So.
That's even more impressive.
Exactly. So we're going to dig deep into that song, which is not that deep, so should be all right. Shouldn't take too long. We should be able to clear that shit up pretty quick. But back in the day, I met those guys when they came to Amsterdam, so it was kind of like, I think there was some miscommunication is what it all came down to.
I feel like you've made it when you have a diss song.
I know, that's kind of how I thought. And then Sonny Chiba was in it with me, so it was like, and I didn't even know who Sonny Chiba was until, I knew who he was. I guess no, it was weird. Yeah, we knew each other before the song, and then before we even heard the song, and then all of a sudden we both. He was like, "Oh, you didn't know that before," and I was like, "Damn, I did not know that." So there you go. You don't have a diss song yet?
No.
Come on.
Maybe I do, but
Maybe
I just
Richard
haven't found it
Hayes
yet.
will, though.
Richard Hayes will. I
Yeah.
told you I'm going to go create a glass bong line underneath the name Richard Hayes Glass.
I would do that. I would do that tomorrow. I would do that right now. Exactly.
It's going to happen.
Made here live. You guys saw it.
This is the
You were.
creation of it.
Everybody who's listening was part of it, dude. It's crazy. They all want their piece now. They're like, all right, I want a free
Ownership
piece,
rights.
bro. I'm like, I was there, bro, when you named it. So we got you on the show. Last week we were hanging out, and it was just like, hey, why don't you come on the show? And that's kind of, the thing is, to be on here, you have to just know this industry, and that's one of the things that even this side that's even worse, which is like the not so much the functional side of the thing when it comes to the cannabis world, where we think of it like, oh yeah, plant, ground, cut, smoke, all that. You're actually on the marketing side and all the
Creating something out of nothing.
the part that people think is easy, but at the same time, which it is sometimes, like sometimes it's right in your face. You're like, oh, come on, dude, that's so obvious. Do this, boom, bam, and it's like, okay, that works. But then other times people are like, of course, with cannabis advertising, it's bullshit
It's
sometimes.
an ever-changing world with compliancy laws as well.
Yeah, and everybody's like it's almost like drugs now, where you're like, oh, there's a horseback riding chick, and it's like, what's that have to do with weed? It's like, oh yeah, well, that's all you got to do. It's Colorado, chick on a horse, weed. You know what I
That's
mean? It's
it.
like, it's kind of like, what? No. Anyway, I think it was my calling anyway. Marketing in general was my calling, because every time I go, like I get like visions, like when I see a brand or something like that, I'm like, oh, dude, you got to do this, and then like they won't do it, of course, usually, but it's sometimes so obvious, not for my own brand, but for other people's, no problem. It's like it's weird, like you have this thing where if you do your own thing, you get kind of locked in your own little world or whatever. But then if somebody else is doing something, it's very easy to see, like, why are you doing that? Take that letter out, attach those two words, and fucking make it that color. And they're like, oh my god, it makes so much more sense. You know what I mean? It's like some of this stuff is some crazy shit.
Yeah.
What's the worst example I've seen recently? Anything you can talk about as far as this like fails, just straight up fails?
I don't know. Everybody in the game seems to be stepping up with their level of not only marketing but production, the quality of concentrate, flower. I mean,
Well, they have to.
yeah,
They have to get to the
bar is
gamut.
being set.
Yeah, the gamut is of pesticide regulations and all and actually the people have to maybe source their material, grow themselves.
But it's the same way in regards to branding and packaging and marketing. We've taken that turn of professionalism where agencies are now getting involved. There is uniqueness and one-off designs in regards to packaging. It's fun. It's growing fast.
Yeah, it is noticeable too. Like if you just even open up a magazine in any state now, it's almost like, okay, well we're past the kind of like first round, second round, even the third round. Now we're getting into those kind of refined people. Have actually like put more energy into it than you even thought they would before. Where you're like, oh damn, like people got it dialed up when it comes, especially like some companies must be killing it right now. Like if you sell little glass jars that are about that big and have a really cool design, it's like you're killing it right now, because everybody's got.
It's also career professionals that have never been in the cannabis industry that are now coming in that have always done packaging or marketing, and so you're able to get a next level of quality product.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, marriage of the two. Like when you can get the person who can make the killer concentrates and grow the best flowers, and actually have somebody who can present it properly. Because how many things have been, kind of ruined in the end when it comes to presentation?
A ton.
Yeah.
It could be the best thing in the entire world, but if it isn't presented correctly, you're never going to win it over.
Yeah, and it's also compliance, like you were saying earlier too. It's like you have to do it. So if you're going to spend the money to do it, you might as well make it good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at that point, and also, it used to be a fear of like you couldn't make your shit too good, because if it's illegal and it's too well known, you can never package your stuff properly, or even though in our
Draw
dream,
too much attention to it.
it was a dream. Everybody had like, oh man, I'd have little boxes, little pack. Now it's like you're swimming in it. Like if you stay at someone's house who actually goes to the dispensary all the time, you'd be like, dude, there's like 300 little stupid things everywhere. It's like it's kind of a waste.
What do you do with your leftover dab containers? We were having a conversation about that the other day.
I think the best thing to do is when you got a friend who grows a bunch of weed outdoors, they got all this extra weed hanging around, and they don't know what to do with it, you sit around with those containers and you just take all the larf and you kind of throw them into those little things and you make sure it's like smokable larf, of course.
Okay.
But you get little buds and you just keep those things on hand and try to hand those out as you go around, because that is the best.
I like it.
In my opinion, because that's what I always do that with all my. Also, if I get if I'm in like a little cup or something like that, it's like I only smoke whatever I smoke, and then in the end, it's like just that goes straight to the homeless, But and then it's such a nice thing in the morning, especially because they're always like, no one's gonna give them weed in the morning. Not in the early, not 8 in the morning. Nobody gives you weed at 8 in the morning. But I'm on the way to school. Here you go. Boom.
The Adam Dunn Give Back campaign. We'll start giving away little jars of weed.
I mean, I think it's the best thing about it's the only thing that keeps probably the homeless in Denver from, getting going postal on people, because it's like fucking, at least you keep everybody, in a nice way sedated, because it's like once you give them, there's a guy up here, I give him every time that I have it, and he's so appreciative, and I can tell, and that's why I give it to him, because if he was a dick about it, obviously I'd be like, well, fuck you, man. But they're just always
not giving you shit.
Yeah, and I was always like, because I usually come by in the morning when I drop my kid off, and then I kind of, the same 2 guys are there, and I'll just kind of daily dose them.
Daily dose them, I love it.
Daily dose. And it's official when it's in a medical thing.
Yes.
So, and besides marketing, you've been doing any growing at all, or you've kind of been standing in fields of hemp and stuff? So
No, the apprentice on a couple grows, learning how to grow. It's definitely an art form, so. As we know. Yeah. Talk about them. You want to come talk about them? You can come talk about it if you want. Come talk about the girls.
She's like, no, don't want to talk about it. Well, no, it's a good. It's been interesting to watch the, people in Colorado sort of take a little bit more because when I first came here, nobody really grew outdoors. Everybody was scared.
Yeah.
Now it's like people are growing a little more outdoors. There's some definitely. Some action happening here.
Well, I first started out over in Santa Cruz for a year, learning how to grow in the Emerald Triangle. So it was, all outdoor Cali weed. And it's funny how much of a difference there is between here and Colorado, or between here and California.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, Cali is Cali, right? I mean, Colorado has patches and spots. There's great, the west. Actually, the best is on the western slope, which we're, none of us are at. So we're not here for that perfect conditions there, but. On this side, it's a bit dry, and you get your maximum. It's kind of like you can grow only so big of a plant unless you have a humidity, so you can't really control that part. And when you have crazy dry, down south, it's like crazy. You've seen it, Pueblos, ridiculous.
Yeah,
sideways. It's sideways.
Also, you never know when it's going to be 75 one day and then snowing and 30.
Speaking of which, today was like cloudy, overcast, and kind of weird, but. Tomorrow's supposed to be 80, right? And then Sunday it's supposed to snow.
No, Monday. Sunday we have one more day.
Okay. Sunday night, though, they said.
Okay.
I think they said Sunday night it might even start snowing. So it's going to go like that drastic.
Jeez.
Crazy Colorado weather. Oh, and
harvest your plants if you have them.
Speaking of that, we got FEMA camp going down over here, too.
The flat Earth party.
We're having a flat Earth. This is not me putting this on, by the way. Anybody listening, don't believe that I'm putting this on. But we do rentals here of this space. We do event. This is an event space, right? And tomorrow and the next day will be the Flat Earth Music and Art Festival.
I encourage everybody to come down and ask questions.
For sure, come on down. I mean, I'm going to be in the corner. With just sort of, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be watching from afar, but it'll be interesting.
Can we toss around inflatable Earth balloons, like volleyball balloons?
As long as they're round, dude.
That's what I'm saying. And
you have a good Earth. You said you had a good Earth.
I've got an Earth piece that I'm going to bring down.
Yeah, bring down the Earth piece. Anything earthy that's round and you bring it down.
I've got a NASA T-shirt that I'm sure will really piss them off.
It will be interesting. So if you were in Denver and you want to check out the whole Flat Earth Society. Live and direct. It's 2209
so many questions.
2209 Welton Street here. It's a little plug for them for free. I don't know. I looked at their GoFundMe site and it was like pretty sad.
It was pretty flat.
It was flat. Yeah, that was the flat. That was definitely the flat side of it.
Oh man, I'm really looking forward to that. Honestly,
I am too. Let's see. So, let's talk to our buddy Mark over here. We haven't seen you a week. What's been going down?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, man. No, I just a lot of working. I don't know,
All right.
working and hanging out, watching football because I'm one of those guys.
I remember that.
One of those terrible people that watches the football.
I watched the football.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
So
don't get you trapped in it.
Broncos.
As long as I don't see you coming with,
Yeah.
as long as you don't wear face paint at the here, you can wear the hat. It's fine.
Sure, yeah,
Face
yeah.
paint is the kind of limit.
I'll tone it down a little bit.
For
I think
this,
you should wear the face paint.
for this show in particular. So, did you pop up any? Did you grab any news when you were kind of cruising around?
Yeah, I had a conversation earlier about this with Sarah, but Gorilla Glue reached an agreement with cannabis.
Oh, they did. They did. They reached an agreement finally.
Yeah, so Gorilla Glue has to change their name to now GG Strains.
Oh yeah. GG.
So they can no longer be called Gorilla Glue number 4, Gorilla Glue number 1, or Gorilla Glue number 5. So very interesting that a major manufacturer of
So they have beat them.
world-renowned product sued.
Pound them down. Well, we knew they would never win. That was like the worst. I mean, basically, if you name your shit after Star Wars or shit you see at Home Depot, then you're probably going to get shut down because those are like the most fucking prevalent things out there right now. You know, it's like they have like 4,000 lawyers in every state running around going looking for these
I wonder,
things.
has Lucas come after Death Star?
I can't imagine why they haven't, if they haven't, but, you know, it's like they're precarious. Team Death Star is definitely on there.
Just curious.
I've always thought it from the beginning. I was like, man, you're going to be... But I think they were just that kind of underground company, though, too. They don't give a shit, you know, so...
Oh, just curious. There's so many out there these days.
No, there are. And that's the thing is it's, you know...
There's other Star Wars inspired strain names too.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah,
There were
like
so many. I mean, and then, you know... It's the same when Ethos came out with like the day that they had the member berries. It was like next day, like or like a
Right.
week later, he's already got the strain, and I'm like, you know, it's kind of like you can only bite those things and expect. Because I was like one of the. I mean, I'm not saying the first, but definitely one of the first to get a cease and desist with in the industry because it was like because I did Rambo, and they were like Universal
Right.
contacted me and was like within maybe a year or something like that of doing it because we already had. We've had it out for about a year at that point, I think. And it was like, boom. So I was like, okay, well, then it's Lambo, you know, whatever. Just fucking come up with something else, you know. Didn't even think about Lamborghini later, but then I was like, people were like, dude, is Lamborghini going to serve? I was like, well, it's not their name. It's fucking somebody, what people call them, but
Ugh, yeah.
anyway, yeah. So.
and yeah.
And we had the Amanda Chicago Lewis on the show about 3 weeks ago, and that was the girl that wrote the article in Rolling. She works for Rolling Stone, but I think that was a Stone article maybe, and it was it was for GQ. Sorry, it was for GQ, but she also writes for Rolling Stone, and it was about the name, about the names, trademarks, and then also about patenting and the name. You know, then that's kind of where it's kind of getting crazy as far as also. You know, people are filing for patents now that are really
And trademarks.
and patents that are really like, you know, what's the name when it's like the primary, like the main one, like it covers everything, and then you're kind of utility.
Utility patent.
Yeah, so people are filing for those now.
Yeah.
And they're already they're getting them now, we should say, and you know, it's whether or not they want to enforce them. That's when it gets ugly, of course, and I don't think they will. Even be
Well, there's people sitting out there collecting patents on.
but they're definitely they're on some breeding techniques too, you know? And I've got the inside scoop. I'm kind of working on it. I'm not going to make it into a show yet but there's a lot more layers to the whole thing, which we kind of like. Apparently, the guys who are doing it are actually pretty cool. So we're giving them a chance in the sense. Like, I'm not giving them a chance. I have no control over anything. But I mean, we're in a sense not fucking going to go out there and blow out the names and tell everybody who they are just because a friend of mine was telling me this, and it's all kind of like come full circle where he's like, well, you know, could be in worse people's hands because at least it's in somebody who's actually in our industry, like, you know, is doing it kind of for the right reasons, we hope. But if they want to, they could pretty much go and tighten screws, and then all of a sudden we can't cross plants the way we normally
It'll
would
probably
cross
happen
plants.
once legalization comes out.
Yeah.
Once it's more mainstream and lawyers to pick up the cases and more
there's
courts that will pick them up, it will come out.
Oh, it's gonna. I mean, as every industry has had to
Progress.
go into this into the stables, basically. Like, you know, we're getting corralled into into the lines now. So it's like, oh shit, we're about to get taken
Corporate
out.
professionalism.
And then you got to make you either become the food, you know what I mean, or you somehow get pulled off into the ranks.
Here was something else that came up interesting too. The World Anti-Doping Agency removed a ban on CBD. THC is still prohibited, but now
awesome.
fighters are allowed to test positive for CBD in their system.
That's huge.
Which is, if you remember, Nate Diaz after
Yep.
a fight I think it was a year ago,
Yep.
smoking I think it was his open vape CBD pen up on
Yep.
stage,
Yep.
and it was a big deal. So that's a big deal in and of itself.
So that's UFC, or that was just world?
It's actually the World Anti-Doping Agency,
so-
which covers all professional sports.
That's even better. That's really good. That's really
Yep.
good. Yeah, and that's
That's huge.
I mean, common sense too, since now we're actually got it to the point where at least science is now being used in some proper ways too. You know what I mean? Where people are like, okay, well, that's actually not that. So,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I mean, the NFL finally gave in. They're finally looking into it for player use. So it seems to be progressing rapidly
well, yeah, and
with athletes.
that's a total given where it should be like mandatory, because it should be mandatory like within. Right after the fight, like it's like bam, first thing
Yeah.
you do, go in there and get your THC
Yeah.
and your CBD
Medicate.
to fucking balance your shit out, because that's kind of what they're saying now too, is that with those head injuries that it's the if you can get enough cannabinoids at the right time,
Yes.
you can actually mitigate that. Probably there's going to be. I mean, that's not like it's like, oh, okay, well, it's back to zero, but it'll definitely keep people from having that long-term damage, which is becoming a huge issue now. Well, it's not a huge issue now. It's always been an issue, but coming to light as far as and also like when you watch like how the fights are arranged now, they're, part of you're like, come on, it's got to at least fucking knock them down fucking hard. Like it used to be a little harder, so it's like now they're quicker to fucking jump in.
Wait, you have to remember that patent 6630507 that the U.S. government owns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it clearly states that cannabinoid is an antioxidant and is a neuroprotectant.
Right.
So of course it's going to be good for post-fight.
Yeah,
Post-athletes,
and that, I
anything.
mean, and that, like I said, that should just be a standard. You can come around that side if you want, and then it's. Yeah, jump on. There's a nail on that one on the backside, so don't hurt you. It'd be like he hit his head, then you'll get. I'd be like, man, this
We're
whole
hearing
show.
screaming voice. If you hear somebody sound like they're dying upstairs and screaming like it's Halloween, you'll be fine.
I almost hit Randall's next door. It looked so just provocative.
Oh yeah, that could be. That's a good spot. So.
So yeah, that's interesting though about CBD anti-doping agents.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, again, that's just a straight.
Star Killer.
Was Star Killer.
It was.
It
Best.
was.
It's one of the best.
Sky Reach is crushing it right now.
It was. So welcome to the show. Introduce yourself too, because I didn't want to. I usually mess that all up right
Right
out of the
on.
gate.
Yeah, this is Matt Z with GrowLife Hydroponics.
I knew Matt, but I wasn't going. I didn't want to get too in deeper. But
Yeah, need more Matts.
this world needs more Matts. Yeah, I had a guy who used to work for me named Matt, and he was from Oklahoma, and like every time I'd be like saying like something about a doormat or whatever, he'd be like, "Why they gotta call it Matt?" Just like that was his big hang up in his life. Like his whole hang up in his life was that a doormat was called a doormat. Like he
That
just
everything
couldn't.
was a match.
Nice.
Yeah, that killed him.
That's funny.
Where are you from originally?
My family's from New York.
Me too.
From the island, but grew up
Okay.
in Miami Beach, so I'm
Nice.
basically a Floridian.
You want to go lower on that mic, or is
Yeah.
that?
Just closer.
Closer?
Yep.
Yeah, just
Get a little closer.
take your time. Take your time. No problem.
See, that's how old I am.
And you can always slide the mic. You can always pull the mic too. That's even easier. So you're out in Strong Island, or
From the Strong.
Yeah.
I moved to Florida as a boy. Lived there forever.
okay.
For long years.
Okay, which part of Florida?
Lived in Miami Beach.
All right.
Went to graduated high school there, and then moved to Tampa. Lived there for more years than I'd like to admit. Been here 4 years, never looking back.
Empty. Yeah, it's empty. I will load it up for you. So yeah, Florida for your formative years, let's say.
Yeah,
Like from,
yeah.
What year did you go there?
Moved to Florida in the late 70s.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm getting up there.
Yeah, good. I lived there in when I was 17,
Okay.
18, I guess, because I just graduated. And that was in 87 or something like that. And then it was still that kind of, and I was in Lauderdale, so it was still like the old Lauderdale, but it was still kind of like, you know, you could, the party wasn't there at that point. It was definitely old people and all that.
Sure.
And then
I
I got to watch
before it blew up.
Yeah, got to watch that whole transition. Well, I didn't get to watch it. I left and came back, and when I did, it was like, oh shit, something's happening. And then, you know, I went there recently, and I was like, I got fucking, like, I was tripping. I was like, I was driving up Los Olos, and I was like, where was my, I couldn't even figure out where my house was. I couldn't, it's all gone. It was like, just,
it's all new. It's all just been completely torn down and rebuilt for very wealthy people.
Well, yeah.
And all those
wealthy people.
And all those inlets that used to be, like, my friends, like, kind of had, like, little shacks on there and shit. It was like,
they're all,
like canals.
They're all mansions on those canals now.
I was like,
yachts up there, too.
Oh, dude. Yachts for days.
Everybody's got a yacht, definitely. So when you were growing up down there, what was your? Were you just were you a weed guy all the time, or just kind of like more of a, like more? Tell us your angle. Tell us your angles.
Always a big weed guy. Got in the weed game. You know, in college, started moving some weights and whatnot.
Right.
Had a buddy who was doing a lot of cultivating there, and then we were. Moved out here. Turns out he was living out here as well. Went to work for Commercial Grow for many years.
Get a selfie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Boom. Do it.
Do it. Yeah.
You can go. We can selfie and talk. We can do multiples.
There we go. So were you picking up what was your? I mean, when you were saying moving weight, were you like your friend was growing? Was it like was it like Crippies or was it like something?
Oh, the Crips were that was like the early '90s. I remember the Crippies well.
Yeah,
but this was like
later.
A couple years later. They were doing a lot of spicy fruit, stinky fruit. Cinderella was big on the scene back then. Dirt Poison, all the classes. But yeah, he had a bunch of houses and just moving lots of elbows.
It was funny too because when I was there, I had a friend who was a bartender, and when I left, like we kind of grew together a little, nothing, like just a tiny little thing at his house. Sure. And then when I came back a couple of years later, he had like. It wasn't huge, but it was bigger. And then, like when I went to his house, he was so sloppy. Yeah. Like I walk in, he's got like an AK. I was like, dude,
that's it.
Why do you have an AK?
That's how you get popped.
And
that's
I was
the
like,
worst.
dude, that's the worst.
Giant stacks of cash everywhere.
That's it. That's like just adding insult to injury when they come to blow your doors down.
Yeah. I was like, dude, this is like, I don't know how he got away with it, but he was just like one of those guys who was just like, actually he's pretty famous too. He went over Niagara Falls in 2 times in a barrel, I think. Maybe even 3 times.
What?
Yeah, he's got the world record at that time. And I don't think
he coming to the Flat Earth party?
No, I wish he was in town. And I don't even remember the fucking name. I'm sure I could look him up and figure out. But it was like they had a picture of him, or they actually took a mold of him at one point and put him at the museum, like where he's like waving out of the thing.
One of those wax museums.
He took a girl over the thing too. He went as a couple with this other chick. And yeah, that sounded pretty sketchy.
I have a hard enough time going on balconies.
I was about to say, you got to be pretty stoned or something to get in that barrel.
You got to be pretty crazy.
That's the beginning.
Just
2 people in a barrel. That's even worse, though. It's like you're like, wait a minute.
I get claustrophobic like in a bathroom. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worse with 1 or 2. What do you think?
Well, 2 is probably at least you have someone else there.
To eat when you're.
I don't know. There's no way that this is just a good idea in general.
It was a bad idea. So when you were down there, what else were you doing there? You working on boats or anything like that? That's what I was doing. That's the only thing I could do. That's the only thing I had.
Working on boats?
Yeah, that's the only thing
I did. I managed restaurants and bars, craft beer bars. I did the hospitality thing, but then I was working crazy hours, getting home at like 4 a.m. Yeah. And then I had like a new baby, so I was like, I need something else.
And then
damn life.
And then when did you move to Colorado? When did you move to Colorado?
Moved to Colorado summer of 2013. Just had our 4th anniversary.
Nice.
The wifey, 2 kids, live in Boulder County. Living the dream. Nice. Sometimes it's a nightmare, but most of the dream.
Yeah. Boulder's good.
Yeah,
Boulder's beautiful.
It's like a Boulder. Yeah, I said Boulder County. Yeah, you like how I made mention of
sorry.
county.
Well,
I live. Let me make that very clear. I live in
Yes.
Lafayette.
Okay, got it.
It's a sub of Boulder. It's the last remaining vestige
you could
of
just let him run. So
yeah. Yeah.
No.
No. I'm not wealthy enough to live in Boulder yet. And you know what? Honestly, I'm good. I like Lafayette. I'm not moving to Boulder. No, not doing that.
No, it gets even worse to get tighter.
Yeah.
You don't drive a Honda. What is it?
No, I don't drive anything that's
Subaru,
eco-friendly.
Subaru and wear Tevas and shop at Whole
I'm not
Foods.
gonna lie. The wifey does drive a Subaru.
Yeah.
But only because I got a really good lease, and it's only it's 36 months. So I was like, hey, why not?
Right.
I mean, I have to be somewhat of a Coloradan, you know?
Yeah, fit everybody out here. It's a little.
Yeah, it's the standard blue Subaru Outback.
That's a real thing.
It's the color. I don't know why. Well, they only had that or black, so I was,
navy blue.
and the wife didn't want black, so I was like, great, it's that blue color. Every other car is the blue Subaru Outback.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the white truck.
My kids,
If you have a white truck, you're good. Like
my
a white
kids almost
truck
got
and
into the wrong car last week.
I've gotten into the wrong car.
Yeah, there was two next to each other. I'm like, why isn't it not? Why is the
I've got
remote
it.
not working?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 3 parked in a row at Whole Foods, and you go to the wrong one, and then you keep
It's-
going to the wrong one.
It's a nightmare.
That is
That's-
a Boulder
yeah.
problem right there.
Yeah.
Boulder white people problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Next on Boulder white people problems. Which Subaru?
First
Which
world problems.
Subaru number one,
Yeah,
number
first
two,
world,
number
you need to
three.
get Subaru sponsor the show now.
Yeah.
And we said Subaru so many times, like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
One should appear.
Yeah, well, it's for us, it's a Jubaru. So.
Yeah. No, we know many Jubarus out there. There's only one real Jubaru though.
Oh boy.
And that is Nicotees. Nicotee has the true
Trubaru.
Trubaru. The true Jubaru. That is the true Jubaru right there.
That's good stuff.
100%. So you live in the Colorado Dream. I kind of I didn't do the same obviously because I lived in Golden, so I was kind of on that edge there.
I like
Wasn't it was it's kind of Republican though too. It's like it's not the greatest little town. But
So yeah, been
But
here 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it. Worked
And-
for a commercial grow. From here. That was crazy.
I right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, came here. Actually, I worked for Miller Coors. I was a rep for one of their brands in Florida. Came out here with thinking of working in beer. Realized there's no money in that, and it's
Yeah.
completely swallowed up. And you're fighting for.
It's an oversaturated market.
And you were working. You
Yeah.
wanted to go work for the biggest thing in there,
Well,
and that was already saturated.
Yeah, well, just the beer market, just the market. It's ultra competitive. There's no real money. You have to really work your balls off to make any kind of real money.
Well, the weird part too is like now. I mean, Colorado. I would hate to try to rep big commercial brands just because you're really the guy
yeah,
nobody wants.
you're the bane.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this
Yeah.
guy. Like, oh wow, Miller truck coming up.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I don't want to see a Miller
Yeah.
truck. You want to see a nice
You want to
micro.
look
But
out
now
there.
what they're doing is even worse because it's almost like it's like every industry, right? Like all of a sudden, you can't drink this, and I'm the worst about it too because even if it's the same factory, same water, same guy working there, same everything, the minute Anheuser-Busch or Miller or any of these fuckers buy it, I'm like, man, I'm
Right.
not gonna buy it anymore just
Yeah.
because I don't want to
Support them.
I don't want to feed that anymore, and it sucks because the people who work there, I'm not against them. It's the same as like a country or something. You're like, yeah, I'm not against the country. I'm just against the the government or whatever. And it's like kind of the same vibe. And then nobody gets it, and they're like, man, you just like waste your time. It's like, it's actually the only thing you can do. Like if you don't do that, there's nothing else you can do except stop. But it sucks. I mean, like do it with everything, like every health food, every fucking grow shop, it's like, god damn it. Every time I turn a corner, I'm like. And if you do buy it, you feel bad. It's like instantly just like,
Deflated.
you had to do it. There was nothing else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so how do you guys, so with GrowLife, do you guys, because that's part of the reason I want to get you on the show, because it was like, well, all right, anytime I get a new sponsor, and you guys are more complex than most sponsors. Most sponsors are like, oh, we make this. And you're like, okay, cool, let's talk about that. And then you can talk about that, and then maybe they might have other things to work with. But you guys are a little bit representing all different brands, which is cool because then we can get those brands hopefully come through the show, and then we'll showcase each one of them harder, Give me a note because I've put your site up and talked about it, but at the same time, it really only because most of the products
I'm a noob.
Oh, it's okay. You're good. Just keep it close-ish to the mouth. You should be fine. You'll hear yourself.
Fishy.
But a lot of the products are all the products actually are things I used a lot. So
Thank you.
you know how it is when you're doing. If you listen to Joe Rogan's thing, if he's talking about chimp male, he's not really excited.
Yeah.
But when he's talking about his fucking like
Right.
things that he loves, he's
Right.
like, "Whoa!" You're like,
Right.
holy shit. This is the same way with everybody. So
Sure.
I want to be that guy for your company, but part of it is you helping me tell my people what's going on, because they'll get really interested once they hear. Because the thing is, when we started with Build a Soil, it was like I didn't even realize how dedicated like the people who listen to the show really were to organic, first of all, and then how interested they were, and like he just killed it right out of the gate, like on his first day. He was like, oh my god, people are just all ding 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 ding. But they also had something that was really like easy to get their fingers into. So tell us your philosophy.
So we had a bunch of retail, and then we realized that retail is just going away. It's dead basically. You can't cater to everybody. And to put millions of dollars of dead money on your shelves, it's not.
Who's going to give all the candy to growers?
I know, it's just not a cost-effective model.
But there's always candy at every grocery shop.
There is.
That's the only reason that growers
There's one.
go.
I know one offhand that always has. The Mama Bear always puts all the good chocolate out. That's how you know.
I always stock up.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, I'll go in there.
And that was
just a bullshit. Just during lunch, just to eat.
Like
chocolate.
I just wanted Tootsie Pop.
Yeah. They got Milky Ways and Snickers.
So you better put that with every delivery.
Yeah. No, we're gonna try to one up the chocolate.
Keep it real.
So we had the retail model for a long time. Realized it just wasn't working out, so we basically got real lean. Started going commercial direct. We just go right to the mouth of the grows, and we try to get them in a rhythm of purchasing less. Maybe once a month instead of sending a bunch of guys to grow stores. Everyone's sending guys to grow stores for hours. Out of the week. It's just a lot of wasted time and energy.
Right.
And we work with we work with all the manufacturers. We do a lot of manufacturer direct. We work with all the big DCs and,
Yeah. You have your own fleet, or you kind of work with other little sub guys or something?
No, we don't really. We try to drop ship. Drop ship's really where it's at for us. You know, if we can get people to spend a decent amount of money, we can always achieve free.
If they're
free
big, what if they're big though and they got a huge order? You're gonna like.
We'll swallow it. We'll absorb the shipping.
Okay.
For sure. There's we have there's a lot of value to our brand.
Right.
One is that we're
when it comes to nutrients and stuff, it's like who the hell wants to move that around? Nobody. So
pallets are really expensive to ship all around the country.
Yeah.
And they
take liquids and shit are
exactly
always they definitely hit you hard. And then but you did like nationwide delivery?
So we're servicing grows in New Jersey, Delaware, Arizona, Washington, Oregon. We're all over the joint right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And is it one? It's like a one central location, which is here, or they're kind of.
So I've got a guy in Arizona. We actually just got into Canada. We're actually about to do a little retail in Canada. Canada's kind of behind schedule. They're just kind of getting on right now as far as commercial is concerned for this segment, this sector. So we're actually
Which part? You have Canada, the whole Canada?
Or? In the middle of Canada.
Quebec area?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
they're always behind. No. Come on.
It's called Canadian time.
Hey.
So we're moving into Canada, but really, we're focusing on all these new states coming online. And it's kind of like whoever gets there first is going to try to get the business. So, we try to focus on all these new cultivations popping up all around the country.
They're left and right. If you go back to Florida, they've got a ton of emerging markets.
There is. Florida's, there's...
Truly was killing it down there right now.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Like how, it goes from like, it's kind of going in a whirlwind around the States where you can't really, you're like turning your head and looking over here going like, wow, it's really cracking and lacking over here, and then all of a sudden it's like over here is going and over there is going. The markets are definitely and
it's shocking how big they are. Boston was one that overwhelmed me when we were doing state applications. Philly when we were doing state applications. I just did state applications in Arkansas.
Arkansas's coming on right now.
What?
Yeah, we're working with a group in Arkansas too.
It's like
exciting. I know you would think Arkansas. You're like, wow, okay.
Now we're getting to those states. Now we're getting to those states for sure.
It's just happening
well,
right now.
Like Oklahoma's always been my litmus test where I've been like, when that happens,
that's the turning point.
Well, it's over then. There's nothing left.
If they do it everywhere,
they're starting to pitch in Tennessee now. That's when it's
the Bible Belt. The Bible Belt's
Yeah.
if they're gonna get on board, everyone's.
I'm from Georgia. I get it.
I mean, they grow a lot of weed there, though. Yeah. So it's like good old boy
Time
weed.
to tax it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
There's going to be like
They just decriminalized it in the city of Atlanta, so that's a big move, at least for them. So you can
That's
have
good.
up to an
So
ounce on you.
Wow.
Good
Great.
news call. Yeah, no,
Decriminalized it, and it's a $75 fine if you get caught. But I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
That's amazing.
Well, they needed that because they have a huge amount of people going to jail there for
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
So.
Stop,
for
stop
nothing.
locking kids up. I mean,
it's locking
focus
kids
on
up.
the real crimes.
Changing lives. I mean, just interfering
Yeah.
with lives, interfering with everything over weed, over cannabis.
It's a joke.
It is.
So your family's still over. Oh, well, I mean, not your immediate family, but like your dad.
My parents still have. My parents have a house in Hollywood, and they have another house on the. They have two
course
houses on the
in
East Coast.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
Of course
yeah.
in Hollywood.
That's where they keep all the Jews, you know.
In those high rises there, they get them all stacked up.
But I'm trying to get them out here. They're my dad's retiring at the end of the year, so hopefully I'm going to get them out here. You know,
Nice.
they're getting up there.
And then, Colorado seems pretty much like long term for the company, or is it you going to have like a main headquarters here in any way, shape, or form?
Well,
or is it,
yeah,
or
I
is-
mean, our actual HQ is in Washington State, but
Okay.
I mean, we operate out of Colorado. This is home base for us.
it's a good place for doing
You
business
know,
like that too, because I mean,
know.
physically you're not obviously jumping out there and
Yeah,
jumping into planes or something like
Right.
that.
And, you know, we're- you know,
but you are able to
We also have really
Access-
cheap airfare. We can go wherever
access
we want.
east and west,
Yeah,
which is always
yeah,
good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're centrally located, so it's good to be somewhat in the Midwest.
Sure. And then how many different? Because I mean, what are you dealing with hydrofarm and sunlight and all that stuff? I mean, how does that work? Because those guys are always a little territorial sometimes. Could say to say the least, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
it's,
or just having any
we-
friction with those kind of,
no,
or
I
like,
mean, we try to keep it light and easy with everyone. I mean, everyone wants our business. It's just a matter if they want to play ball. We do a lot of work with NGW and Hydrofarm. Mostly because they've got distribution channels all over the country.
Right.
They can drop ship from anywhere and have it there next day a lot. Which is paramount to our business, expediting and keeping cultivations running seamlessly.
right. And then, do you guys what's the smallest garden and what's the biggest garden you think as far as range wise?
Right now, the smallest is probably 40 lights, somewhere in that world. Largest,
And that's about when it's like starts to become more.
Yeah.
I always tell people like a good way to look at it is if you take like the percentage off of the lights on the maybe not the double-ended bulbs, but with the old school
Right,
bulbs,
right.
you lost about 14% on that first round, And so if you could take that amount and then kind of calculate that into your figures and see if it's worth buying new bulbs ever, then once you get to that point, then it starts to worth working with people like you because
For sure.
you're not buying, if you're going to buy bulbs on every single round to
yeah.
cover that 14% and get more money worth, because at
Right.
the end of the day, like if you have 100 lights and you're losing 14%, that's a lot of fucking weight, basically.
That's a lot of money.
And
Right.
it's right out of the gate. I mean, new bulbs, not so much.
Right.
Maybe they don't, they work a little better, more efficiently. But back in the day, that was a very easy way to kind of see that you're at that level. Because
Sure.
you're like, well, fuck, I might as well buy new bulbs because now I'm going to lose right away, like 2 pounds, 3 pounds.
No, I mean, yeah, with single-ended, I mean, you really had to change your bulbs out after every 3 crops, like every 6 months, because pars just went down in the toilet.
Exactly.
But,
And that's what I mean. Like, and if you're a real pro, you just do every one and give those away to your
Just
friends.
give them away, right?
and
Or just use them in veg somewhere. Let someone use them in veg somewhere.
Exactly. And I mean, I always think a lot of those bulbs must end up in Africa, right? I mean, that's what I would think. Like somehow somebody shipping them over or something, because they could light up the whole everywhere.
I'm hoping that people are recycling them because there's a lot of mercury in those bulbs and they're really, really bad for the planet.
Yeah, and it's
So-
also real, disheartening when obviously, but I don't think it's a good idea to buy new bulbs each time, but I'm just saying that's how people motivated by money and looking at their sort of bottom line are going to think, and, those are the people running the industry now. All of a sudden, those guys, it's like, oh, damn, it's running more efficiently, but the
world
weed's kind of sucky all of a sudden. What's going on?
That's why I love surround mount CMH bulbs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run them for 2 years and at almost 90% par.
Yeah.
And then, you get so much value. Plus, it's the best light spectrum of any bulb on the market.
Yeah, no, we're big fans. What about the single jacket and the double jacket? You have to
I've
go.
got to go.
Okay.
It was good hanging out with you. Thank you,
was
brother.
definitely
It was
cool,
very nice
definitely
chatting
cool.
with
Yeah,
you.
man.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much, guys.
Anytime, Richard, you want to jump in and like I said,
I'm just got to head off to Sweetleaf First Fridays and
there you go. Enjoy it, and you can throw a pitch there. Was that Sensi night?
Sensi night. It's coming up. They haven't scheduled our next date, but
Okay. All right, well,
we'll let you know.
All right, well, go take care
Thanks,
of that.
Adam.
Thanks for
Thanks,
coming
guys.
through.
All right, man. Take care.
And so there you go. Now we got your undivided attention.
Good. Yes, my divided attention.
So, forgot where
We were talking about ceramic metal halide.
Oh, yeah, ceramic metal halide. So anyway, single jacketed or double jacketed, you have any thoughts on that? Obviously, safety factor.
Safety first, obviously the doubles,
But in general, do you think you lose much on those?
As far as light output?
Yeah.
I haven't really done enough testing.
Or did you ever use a single jacketed much? Or you only kind of, there's not very many of those out. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know the tech at that level.
Yeah,
I can make something up if you want.
No, it just seems. Well, one thing I heard, which got a little bit concerned about the single jacketed, was that there was UVC coming through.
Okay.
And that's not a fucking good thing to be working under at all. Because,
I like A and B.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want melanoma as sort of extra bonus points in your thing, but so that got me a little nervous. And then of course, the idea that if it gets hit with water or whatever, it's going to be it's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, you're like my personal concierge. He's my microphone concierge.
Making it perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Hey, someone's got to be the production guy.
So, did you do any growing with your friend, or you just kind of telling him what was good?
Nope, he was doing all the cultivating. I was doing all the wholesaling. It was a really, really nice relation. Very, very. Is
that kind of where
symbiotic?
Is that where you got the feeling now? Like this kind of your position is to be the supplier who kind of keeps that guy going, who knows what he's doing. And
I think for us, it's just production days are very expensive. Mm-hmm. A lost production day could cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
We
want the same. Everything gets very simplified when somebody
granular.
when somebody actually figures out it's $226 a day for doing this, and you're like, oh shit, we're down.
Right.
So you add those things
multiply that times the amount of plants and rooms, and then you've got a large number.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, it's not the number you want to see. Right. Sometimes you want to see large numbers, you just don't want to see them in that part.
Yeah.
And then so with plant management and stuff, do you guys have what do you guys do for you have in-house stuff that you're kind of pushing, or what companies are you representing?
We're behind some brands, but we really try to cater to the customer. I mean, the customer generally has a good idea of what they like. We'd like to lend some advice if they want to hear it, but we don't really try to push anyone in one direction.
Right.
We just try to give them some ideas. We try to stay up on all the new tech and just be like, hey, this is what we think. This could save you money.
Do you have a visual? Do you have any kind of visual aids on your site as far as setup things, or just as a kind of company rep stuff, and then you have to know what it is?
We do that. We'll generally send people to a couple different sites. As far as if we want to help people do mapping for their rooms. Yep. Soil calculating, all that kind of stuff. We can help with all that too. Nice. Room design.
Yep.
But I think a lot of our value is that we get it. We come from commercial, and we understand that it's expensive, and we want to help you succeed and help you keep it simple and get into a rhythm.
Right.
More or less,
And then is there any other kind of is there like a besides when you drop ship, for instance, say if they're getting 55-gallon drums of fucking whatever and drop ship it.
Right.
So you said you absorb that or no?
I mean,
it depends on
the ticket.
Right.
We have a lot of deals in place with a lot.
If it's local enough and it's not like some stupid thing we have to.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this: like in Colorado and Arizona, if we spend, I think about $3K with either hydro or sunlight, we can always get free freight. So we try to teach people, look, if you can spend a little bit more money now, get it all in one piece. We can save you a bunch of money on all your freight. And there's a lot. I'll try it.
And that's the kind of stuff that gets you. Gets it possible for you to get those things at a better price. It's weird too because back in the day, like going to the grow shop was, as you know, part of the ritual. So it's like breaking that ritual. Sure. It's kind of like taking an Uber. It's like used to be like
that's all you know.
Like take a cab, and you're like, I don't take cabs. Cabs suck. And then you're like, okay, but I'll take Uber. All of a sudden, you're like, and now people are like, fucking don't ever take cabs at all, and don't even think about cabs, and it's like weird because you're like, okay, wasn't it just a couple of years ago that these things were like weird, and you saw like, what the fuck's those cars with the fucking
what's this lift? What's lift?
Or with a mustache? Remember when they were just big dirty mustache on the front of a car? You'd be like, what the fuck are these things? It always looked like weird people driving them too. And just feel like kind of like Lyft is always
seedy.
Lyft is way seedier than Uber.
They're the seedy underbelly of the.
But I like actually. I mean, I got rid of Uber because of my principles.
Right.
Once I heard.
Yeah, I got a funny little Uber story real quick. We went to Avery Brewing at their old location in Boulder.
That little one
off of Rappahannock 55th. Yeah,
I like that spot.
It was great. It was super fun, and we went to one of their IPA fests several years ago, and their director of marketing started taking us down into the cave, all the places no one goes, and he's like, here, try this, all these like real high gravity beers, like 10%. Me and my boy, we got just toasted,
right?
And decided, hey, let's take an Uber. We're in no shape to drive. Our house is like 4 miles away, so we're like, all right, whatever. It costs like $10, $15. First time using Uber, use the app. First available car, $60 later to go 4.5 miles. I was like, I'm done with you guys. I'm done. You gotta at least try to help me out here a little bit.
Right. That's ridiculous.
It was absurd.
No, and it is like one of those things where we're not in that need as much. I mean, Denver, but when I go to like New York, it's even weirder because I'm like, as a New Yorker, it took me like the first 3 times I was there, I was like, no way am I fucking taking an Uber. And then all of a sudden,
you're
like one, and then like the last time I went, I was like, oh man, I'm using this beep 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 beep. I was just fucking on it.
You were in the city.
Yeah, and it was just so much more convenient because
you can't get a cab.
I was like, these fucking cabs. I'm like, all right, then I hit the button, boom, he's there. I'm like, well,
I know. That's a great little urban sprawls are a great place to use those services for sure.
That's where it's designed for. But definitely when you're in the rural zones, it's it's kind of ridiculous.
You're like beat up. Yeah,
exactly. And then you're like fucking obligated at that point. Like, oh. Plus, it sucks it right out. That's the painless yet painful part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Still, it should have been our idea though.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, so you go back home, or go back to like rep over in Florida, just because since it's your spot originally, or you have other people out there doing that.
We don't,
have
if anyone's listening out there in radio land, we're looking to build our sales team. I need guys on the East Coast. We're looking for a guy in the Northeast, Boston, New York, PA.
I got people from the show. We definitely
looking for someone coming up in the South.
Tim, where are you, Tim?
Yeah, Tim. Give me a call, 303-495-6978. Tim, come to me.
Come to me, Tim. See how easy that was? But in general, it's blowing up over there right now. So they're having a cup. They're having a cup, which got canceled, and then it got rescheduled, and then it got canceled again. And then it's going to be at my friend's spot. It'll be smaller.
Cool.
It's going to be at the Tetrahydra Club on the 21st, 22nd. And I think he's got Method Man. So
sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right. And then
Method Man was like, I'll do it for nothing. Just pick me a pound of premium.
They had Meth and Red at the first thing, and then that fucking spot got all weirded out by it because it was hip hop, and it's like, come on, it's Meth and Red. Yeah, it'll be fine. It's Cannabis Cup. It's literally going to be perfect for him. And then they got all cold feet, and then they pulled their thing. So now it's just at my friend's club, which is going to get ridiculous because it's in the middle of Wakefield, which is a tiny little town.
Right.
And
there's going to be a lot of people there, and they're going to.
It's always like, well, I mean, it's usually been busy, but I mean, this is going to be nuts. I think because it's going to, even though it only has a month of advertising, it's literally an old movie theater. So it's
very cool.
It's a cool spot, but.
Yeah,
it'd be like
mob scene.
Road Warrior. Yeah. Like, get back, open the gate, drive through. But it's pretty funny. He's Jordan, who's the owner. He's always pulling off some crazy stuff. He had DMX at one point, like out front, doing wheelies on his quad. I was like, well, there you go. There's some
entertainment
life goals there.
Life goals.
I got DMX riding my fucking quad in front of my spot. It's like. That's always good. So out here, you do anything fun? You guys get I know it's family life, but I got a 5-year-old, so I know that.
Yeah.
And it's not like I end up doing events here, which keeps me kind of sort of entertained entertained and inclusive and part of the scene a little bit.
Right.
But if I didn't do that, I'd have a really hard time just because it's like so much energy.
Yeah.
You ever get it out or?
We do actually. I have 2 girls, 8 and almost 5, and we try to get them out.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking about
me.
Yeah,
them. Please, forget them. Screw them. They're not here right now.
Forget about them. I
said
I have a 5-year-old.
No, they're a pain in the ass. I know. To be honest with you,
I know that whole deal. I
love them, but I don't like them at all.
No, it's
the wife. Yeah, the wife and I. We like to see a lot. We're big concert people.
You get to Red Rocks.
Yeah, went to Red Rocks last week. Saw Beach House and
actually, if there's some talk of a show at Red Rocks this year for New Year's, which is going to be pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, is that no? That's not. I was thinking of My Morning Jacket. I think they're playing it. Is that?
Don't know the lineup, but it's definitely happening. So that's all I know. I know it's happening. I know something's going down. So
Understood.
And
on the DL.
well, it's not on the DL. It's actually, I think it might even have been announced. I'm not sure, but I just would misquote everything and have the wrong names and names and everything. I know the date is fucking New Year's. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
But I do also know that they're looking for vendors and sponsors.
Okay.
So it's looking like it could
Okay.
be.
It's an MJ friendly event. Well,
Well,
not friendly.
it's-
Not friendly
it's
as
Red
far
Rocks.
it's
Red Rocks.
enjoying, but
We can have all cool shit. We just can't.
right, you can't
have-
partake.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Can't partake at Red Rocks is like
Yeah,
saying
I know.
basically.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
At Meadowlands or something like
but
that.
they have it on the
Good
the
try.
big screen. They have it on the big screen now.
Yeah.
Marijuana is strictly prohibited at Red
Oh
Rocks.
God, yeah.
Please respect your neighbors, and all the neighbors are like, "Don't, we're good."
Yeah, respect by giving me some, please,
Right,
is what they say.
right.
No, I mean, there's zones. You definitely don't want to be like totally exposed, and you kind of like
Yeah.
also don't want to be,
Yeah.
like if you're in the middle, you can get away with it. Obviously, if you're
Yeah.
by the rows, you can get a.
Well, you got to roll the vape pen.
Yeah, well, pens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta roll the pens.
You got to pens are more like I just have it in case I fucking everything else goes wrong.
Wrong.
Like if everything else goes wrong, the pen comes out. You know what I mean? Like oh god, but we'll just blaze. You got to go down left bottom there, just blaze.
Yeah,
it's
down
like
the-
you just got to go where all the locals are. It's like that's where I end up. I'm just like okay, this is it. This is like your. It's like safety in numbers.
Right.
There's like
Safety third.
40 of us here. Someone's blazing. Everyone around is. It's like it's always keeping an eye.
Right.
And it's like being back in high school again.
Right.
You're
Just
like,
there's a lookout. There's always a lookout.
it's so hilarious. It's like watching, and everybody's like our age, like in the like their late 40s, 50, like early
Right.
50s, and they're trying to act like 16-year-olds and being all fucking sneaky and cupping joints and shit. It's hilarious. I love it.
Bring a little toilet paper roll with the.
Yeah, it's not getting that bad. I don't think. I don't think it's that bad.
Just put a wet towel under the door. You'll be all right.
Yeah, and then so you get to see lots of shows. That's literally what keeps another one of those things. It's like it's cool because when you have friends come every time, it's like
Yeah,
it's their
and
first
it's-
time. And
without fail, you take
you get to
it.
do
You're
you get to go through that
exactly.
whole cycle, and
Yeah.
you get to see them go. Oh my god! They come home always like had a
Yeah.
friend of ours stay
Yeah.
over, and
Religious experience.
she came home. Yeah, exactly. Her eyes were all super wide, and like I was like, "Good night, huh?" And it was like rainy and horrible, and it just like
doesn't matter.
Didn't matter.
It rained on us 2 weeks ago, and I still took it all. I was just like, this is it was like a audio-visual gorge fest. The first band, and I was like, no, who cares? The rain is adding to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So let's see what time is it because we're going to do some ads. We can still go about 15 more minutes, and then we're going to do ads, and then going to have Ron Wallace calling in, and I want you to stay on the mic with me here if you can, and if not, whatever you need to. But Ron is a world record holder from a couple years ago for pumpkins, and so we're going to talk some soil science.
Okay.
And
Very cool.
I don't know about soil
Different.
science. I don't know about soil science. Is that Ron already calling?
Oh, there's
No, it's
Ron.
420. Is this 420? It's 427. Oh, wow. 427. What time is it? Is this Mr. James Bean?
It's the 420.
427. 427. 427. Man
I
from
know.
Man from
Well, hey,
heaven.
I'm on vacation. You know what I mean? I'm already getting yelled at just by calling it in. As it is.
Man in
It's a
heaven.
good,
Man in heaven. 427. There it is. Okay, so tell us what's going down out there in vacation land. Getting all.
Well, vacation land consists of working always, but Dirty Bird Camp Out in Southern California with JC, my marketing, and I think the best social media guy in the game. One of my best friends, Brooklyn, who I haven't seen in many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's yelling at me for calling you on the phone.
That's cool.
But
That's cool. Oh, yeah.
I know. I told her. I was like, it's a thing I got to do.
You can just push the button.
And I'm just asking.
I'm handing over Torchless, trying to explain it while we're listening to you. Yeah, just kind of hold the button down and it'll get going and kind of there you go. A little harder, hit a little harder,
Yeah,
a little harder, but not too hard. A little
We're
softer, a
actually-
little harder.
And we're at the Dirty Bird Camp Out, and so we've got Dirty Bird, the strain that TSK had done,
Uh-huh.
and we're just strategically placing them throughout my trip. And so if you follow on Instagram or Twitter, you can find a free pack of Dirty Bird just at your local Walmart, quite possibly. You never know.
How many of you dropped off?
I can't divulge those numbers. I have not done anything. I mean, I believe that there quite possibly may have been 6 packs that are going to be distributed, but I personally, I don't know if any of those things to be true.
Oh, I get you.
But if you follow Instagram, yeah, of course.
Yeah, Instagram, where the real things happen.
Instagram, yeah,
It's new.
So,
no,
what do you got for specials? What do you got for specials?
Gratification. It's been shipped.
Uh-oh. I'm losing you. I'm
losing
losing
you. In a
you.
tunnel.
I'm losing you. Where you going? You there? Oh my God! You turned to digital nothingness.
Must be an iPhone.
Digital? No, you're halfback. Robot.
We got robot.
All right.
No.
This month,
I can't hear that. That is terrible.
I can hear him very clearly.
You can?
No.
All right, James, call back.
Come on, James. Come on, James.
Yeah, call us back.
Come on,
possibly.
Jimmy.
Come on, James, call back. There we go. Jesus Christ. That was like worse than.
Wow.
If that wasn't a tap, I don't know what was.
That's Skype.
Yeah,
That was Skype.
That sound. I haven't heard it in so long, but it's just like ingrained in your memory.
right.
The little glurble garble.
I know that sound.
Oh, that blip sound.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah. They haven't changed it. They haven't
Branding.
Changed. Yeah, you are like Pavlov's dog.
They can't. They change that. They go bankrupt in 2 seconds.
So did you ever work on any big corp stuff or get kind of that training on that side? Was it all weed? Was it always weed?
No. I worked for Miller Coors for a few years.
Miller's. That's
They're small. They're a small
tiny
beer
brand.
company, relatively new to the scene.
And was that like in production side or was that in?
I did sales and
Sales.
event execution for them.
Oh, so events. There you go. Then you understand and if it was Coors, I mean, they'd probably sponsor fucking Red Rocks all day long. Right?
I'm sure their name is on it somewhere.
I'm sure they own it.
They do. It is. It's theirs. It's so close. But
If
no.
somebody didn't put that together, like somebody's like, yeah, I don't know, we should probably not sponsor that. That wouldn't be so smart. It's only like on the same fucking range.
Sure.
So when you were working for them, as sales side, did you transfer any of that when you came over to the cannabis? I mean, as far as like obviously,
sure,
not so much direct like this guy came over, but
I mean, I think sales is kind of something that's a part of you. I don't think you can teach people how to be good salesmen. Mm-hmm. I think it's you either can or you can't.
Well, New York helps.
Yeah, well,
New York's already competitive in that way. Like you're already selling to each other when you're kids.
Your whole life is about selling.
Yeah, you're all hustling each other. I got it for 3. I'll give it to you for 26.
That's it. Yeah, I'll buy 3. 1 for 2, 3 for 5. It's like being on a lot somewhere.
Well, it's like buying fireworks. That's what I was thinking of. As a kid, when I used to go buy fireworks
you could break those guys down.
And so you'd be like, the guy would be like, $30. He'd be like, $30. Forget about it. And you walk away, and then he's like, all right, I'll do it for 10. And you're like, wait, I went from 30
this one for 30 to 10. Exactly. What happened to 20?
And then you get like into that. And I had my mom a couple times when I was really young. I was probably like 10 or something like that, and I was just like going, like I just got into the hustle. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And I go cruise around and hear a guy go, fireworks, and I'd be like, all right. And then he'd always take you to the back alley to the little fucking secret spot, have them all lined up on the wall, and I'd be like, go for the biggest thing. I got pineapples. They'd be like, pineapples and fucking
M80s.
I want all the big ones, and then he'd be like, we'd be looking at him, and then my mom would come over and like sell it to him, and I'd be like, all right. They'd be all nervous, and then sometimes he'd like, she'd be like, how much they charge you? And I'd tell him, she'd be like, if I can give him the look,
Right.
Dude, it was half price. There you go. Yeah, I was like, I used to go from New York to Rhode Island all the time, every 4th of July or whatever, and I'd just literally like a military duffel bag filled with fireworks,
coming out of the top
with fucking sticks poking out on the fucking overhead.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
you could get away with murder. I mean,
it was those days. It was those days. You know what I mean? But it was just so funny because now it's like, can you imagine like that'd be like a fucking terrorist like incident?
It would be an act of terror.
They'd be like, oh my god, he had all these fireworks. There's like 10 sticks of dynamite when you added it all up, because that was the whole point. I was buying everything that was a quarter stick of dynamite. I was like, give me like 20. You know what I mean? It was like, so you're just like add up the sticks really quick. And no, it's crazy how those days. I mean, I'm sure they're still selling fireworks. I'm sure there's still dudes out there, but it was like there was literally like a swarms of them at that time. It was crazy. It was crazy.
The firework mafia.
It was crazy. Did you go back to New York like regularly, or just, I mean, when you were living in Florida, or you kind of whenever you?
No, whenever I could. I still have a lot of family there, but I don't get out there as much now, especially with the kids. Trying to go for it. We were contemplating taking the kids there for New Year's. So my daughter's dying to see the Rockettes. So I was like, all right, I'll take you to Radio City. Sure.
My kid is named Nick, and it's NYC. So I mean, that's about as New York as it gets. Even though he was born in fucking
here.
Yeah, he was born.
Right.
He was born in fucking Boulder in 2012. So it's hilarious in the sense.
I got one that year too.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they're a real treat, aren't they?
No, they're go. Mine's great. Mine is great. Mine is good right now.
You got one. One is 1. 2 is like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2. It's inviting them just to hate on each other.
Right. Well, that was my philosophy. Me and my wife have gone back and forth. Like in the beginning, we were like, okay, if we're gonna do it, we have to keep them kind of, within this age range.
No.
And then it was just like I was a single kid, she was a single kid. So
Yep, me too.
For us, it was like, this is all I really know, and
Yep.
he'll be a little spoiled, I guess, because that's what happened to me in some ways. But at the same time, it was also like I got to sit by myself and fucking do shit.
No, for sure.
And not be like,
Yeah.
I got nobody. It's like, so
Yeah.
it's good.
It's
I
fun.
think there's a balance. I mean, it's easier when you know what you're doing in that sense. And
It's an adventure every day.
but I know there's times when we're both always like, man, it'd be pretty good if we did. But then I'm like, you do realize that he would be cool now, but there would be this whole new thing we don't know about.
Plus the whole first like 18 months of a new baby is just it's a lot. It's just work. It's constant work. You can't get away from it. Just keep this kid alive. But that's why I can't. I'm one of one too. That's all I knew. I was good with one until my wife was like, "We're gonna have a second one." I'm like, "Okay, whatever you say."
Well, I mean, like I said, I was accepting of it all either way.
Right.
But yeah, we definitely were like, meh. Like, we kind of like we both were like, I think this is.
There's a lot more freedom with one too.
Well, yeah, and it's like we had shot on goal on this one. Everything worked out.
Right,
great,
right. You got one right. Yeah, no,
there's no
right. There's no hurdles. Yeah, the second one's a lot of hurdles.
and it can go in any direction too. You
For
never
sure.
know. It's like shitty doctor. We had like the best part is that when you when you come back to America and you're like we had just moved back and I had no insurance and it was like she was really on it. She's from Sweden, so she just went boom, 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 got Medicaid, covered everything, and in Boulder, so we got like the perfect. We're like
lucky.
Everything was like top end,
Right.
and then on top of that we had. So I got my receipt and it was $40, because I had to pay for my dinner.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there you go,
Fair.
$40 kid. And I drove home with him.
I wish mine were a lot more than 40.
Yeah, and I've talked to people with horror stories. I have one friend of mine who's a glass blower who's doing a show here. He said he spent $58,000 on pregnancies and he has no kid.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable.
Because they've been trying so hard for 18 years or something like that.
I have several friends that have put down
I'm like,
a lot of coins trying to get pregnant.
I'm like, damn, that's
Yeah, no, we got pregnant in like 5 seconds on our second one.
That's why. Then I realized on that day that I was a true breeder. I was like,
really a breeder.
I'm a very efficient one. My efficiency is high on my breeding.
That's good stuff.
There's no wastage.
I'm a breeder. I'm all in. I breed all around. I know how to breed.
Yeah, well, that was it. I just finally was original or real, I should say. So, okay, so what happened to James? He just fucking died?
Yeah, Jim. Come on, Jim.
Oh,
He never
right.
came back.
Jimbo.
Oh, he killed my flow there. So
He's in the tunnel still.
Anyway, well, let's go. Actually, we don't even have to talk about him right now. We'll go because I've said we have him here. It's no problem. I think we talked. But no, actually, before we even get into this, because might as well use you while you're here. Give me your 3 best taglines or your best 2 taglines that you would use if you met somebody, like say you're at the airport and you're rolling up and you see this guy and you think, and actually he's like, hey, I was just about to get a grow in Florida and I was thinking about, what would you do? Yeah. Because you'd say, hey, well, actually, I work for, and then just give me your pitch line, just so that I can get your pitch in my head, and then I'll be like a Pavlov's dog or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
GrowLife. You mean those guys who are like, hey.
Quick. I mean, look, we're a commercial cultivation supply chain. Mm-hmm. We source any brand you want. We drop and ship it at your facility. Mm-hmm. No more grow stores. You get the best price anywhere. You get concierge service. We make your life easy. We make your grow efficient.
Beautiful. And on top of that, you guys are available everywhere in the country. And you have a hotline or something like that? Do you guys have some sort of like? Do you have like who?
You'd think we'd have a hotline by now,
That would be the smart.
or even a cold line.
Well, you know what you could do? How many people you got working for you?
We're pretty lean right now. We're about 10 people.
Okay.
So yeah,
Do you ever hear sideline?
Please do tell.
So sideline is you can get a separate number on your phone, right?
Yeah, we have. I have a Grasshopper line. Anybody, if you want, if you need grow anything,
Yeah.
call 303-495-6978 for the people in the back. That's 303-495-6978.
Okay, nice. So
Yep.
you do have a sort of contact.
So yeah,
number
we do.
Okay, so in general, sideline works where you guys can all have like a number. But of course, you can't make your number because you already have a number. But it's pretty cool because you get to choose. I got one awesome, and mine's 669-3369. I was like, that's a way better number than the number I have. So I was like, all right, use that for the shop, and use that for the show, and use that for CC for everything.
Sure.
And then you can have up to 10 people, I think, on it,
Right.
and have the same answering thing. And, and everybody has the same side phone number.
Right.
And one person picks it up, and then you don't have to pick it up.
Yeah, the service we use is very similar to that.
It's like 11. This one's like
So yeah, it's free.
$50.
Yeah.
This one's $50 a year, but then
Yeah.
you got all these like
Add-ons and whatnot.
whatever, things you don't use.
$50 is that's
And they don't sponsor the show.
Right, for sure.
No. But fuck it. No, the sideline's been pretty good, except for they were free and everything was cool, but then they like went, you had to pay, and then if you're going to pay, you might as well pay a little more and then get all the
all the functionality.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you can have the totally lame one that you
Right. For $3 more a month, you can have all of this great, amazing stuff. You should. I mean, how do you not?
Of course, you have to, and then you get stuck.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad if you actually add up on some of the apps that you buy in the long run and all this stuff. Sometimes some of these phones are ridiculous because you're like,
I can't even get my phone to work. I mean, there's a million apps on it, but the phone part stinks. Why?
Oh.
How come they can't get that part right?
on your iPhone or something?
Yeah, I'll say that I have one.
You have AT&T or no?
I'm gonna say I have that too.
Okay, that's what fucked up. So if you live in, you need
Verizon?
Verizon.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, and it sucks because this whole conversation is going to nothing about weed, but don't matter. And we're going to talk about. It's perfect time because we have 19 minutes until Ron Wallace is going to call in. So
Yeah, Ron, come on, buddy. I don't know if I can. I got 19 minutes. I got two kids to get to bed tonight, so I can party down.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Come on,
Yeah.
James.
yeah, no, James is out. He's gone. He's
gone.
He's on vacation. He's on vacation.
He's on
CTNow.com
permanent
is officially
vacation.
on vacation, but he's officially was offline for a couple days there, so everybody's freaking out. I think this is their 5th time getting shut down on Instagram, and then they just get constantly, they're like nonstop battling.
They've been made
they're a target.
They made an example of.
Kind of. They got people who don't like, and they're doing the same things. They've been doing it the right way, and then we get people who hate it because they're all of a sudden like, whoa, these guys. So they had, as ever, and then they get complaints and get shut down. But they always fight back, and they always win. They always fight back, and they always win, which is impressive because it's a lot of fucking work because you got to get a bunch of hackers out there to rehack the hack.
Yeah, right. You got to be one step ahead of them.
You got to de-hack and
then
rehack.
rehack without being a hack.
Yeah, rehack. So CTNow.com if you want to check out what their specials are. We were going to listen to it, but it turned into a bunch of fucking alien bullshit. So I have no idea what it was. I just went blurp.
I think you're just going to read the sales. Do you want me to just read the sales?
Sure, read a quick sale. I think it's $88. $88.88.
Mark, let's see here.
Mark, what's on sale, Mark?
MTI. MTI. We call them MTI actually.
Mark, what do you have in?
Actually, they have a new name for me in the chat room.
What's it?
MTSG.
MTSG.
Mark the sound guy.
All right. You're an so you've been upgraded to an acronym. Yeah. Congratulations.
No, he was an acronym before. He was well, they're always the intern.
MTI.
Yeah, he was MTI. He was Matt the intern, but now he has actually a job, so he is the sound guy. So it's MTSG.
MTSG. All right. I'm trying to get that one right.
Let's see. It's the 888 sale. All Crockett, Ethos, BOG, Mycotech, Absolute, 88. Exotic packs also 88. Green Avenger and Rosetta Stone as well. Apollo 13 Haze special. Buy one pack of the new strain Apollo 13 Haze and get 2 packs of Brothers Grimm free. Then the 3888 sale, all 5 packs from Homegrown Natural Wonders, TH Seeds, Musca, and La Plata Labs 3888.
Bam, cheap. Get Get some cheap.
Yeah,
THC.
that's good value right there.
There you
Boom.
Boom.
I'm on the cheap sheet. Now I'm on the fucking bottom rung. I'm on the bottom rung. Makes me feel good.
It's good to get back. Get your hands dirty.
Nice to know that I'm on the bottom rung now. Well, whatever, man. I don't care. I got some new shit coming down in December, so
Oh, good for you. That's fun.
yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Fresh.
bunch
Yeah,
of
fresh.
I think,
It's nice not knowing.
Well, yeah,
There's an element of surprise there.
there is for everybody because it's the same as everybody. I'm just like waiting to see what
Right.
we're gonna end up running with, but. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it's only a couple months away at the Emerald Cup. You guys going to do that?
I think we're gonna make it out that way.
I mean, you're not going to do it because
We're gonna walk. We're walking. Yeah,
it.
you know, there's California's just coming. It's just the market is on. It's like what 55% of America. I mean, come on.
Well, it's one of those things where it is the biggest market, but that's mostly Southern California. The show is in NorCal, which is awesome
Right.
because it's that time of year where everybody's done with their crop, they got their
Right.
shit, they're out of their
Right.
deal.
They can enjoy themselves.
Yeah, they can enjoy themselves and they can buy some stuff, and the seeds get sold because everyone's got to try for next year.
Sure.
And so it's our favorite of all the shows we're doing. Definitely all of our favorites. So
Yeah.
we will have a big presence. Seeds are now his main sponsor. Might as well stick with them for a second, and then give them the longest intro ever for these guys.
James. Oh my God, James. Where's James?
He was. Normally he has his own little piece. He comes in, he gives us specials.
I was excited to hear him. He sounded like he sounded
He's on point.
he sounded into it.
He's on point. But we went. I was over there hanging out with Derek over at Incredibles. Checked it out the other day. It's funny because it's like going to Cheers for me. Like you
Yeah.
walk in, same dog still barks at me,
Right.
same everything. Well, actually, it was a different dog. I should say that.
Normie was there.
Looks exactly the same. So there you go. I had to
okay.
retrain the new dog, same. Didn't get any edibles when I was there at all. No, because I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the Incredibles zone. I was in the
VIP?
R&D. No, I was in the R&D zone next door, which is cool because then you can smoke because it's not part of the building.
Yeah, that's smart.
Nice.
You got to do that.
Yes, it's always better like that.
Yeah.
But hanging out with those guys, and that's where they make the machines themselves, and their products are just on point. The site's looking really good. It's all fresh. This is the time of year to get the pumpkin pie delight, which is awesome because seasonal stuff. Do they actually keep it? No, they don't keep it all year round, do they?
No, it only comes around for October.
It's seasonal. It's not core.
No, it's not core. But their extracts are, and they're
Yes, they are
always
core.
on point. Always on point.
Yeah.
Bars are always on point. That's one of the things about these guys: consistency. And they are going national. Check it out.
Yeah,
They're going to be
definitely one of the best brands in the biz.
for sure.
Yeah, no two ways about it.
Just tightly put together. Good team. That's what it's all about.
High class.
Yes, sir. And you can go to iloveincredibles.com to see if they're near you, if you live here in Colorado or in any of the states that are their new territories, which, those are going to be a little harder to be possibly close to. If you're in Colorado, though, it's within a throw's reach. If you're near a dispensary, you're near them because they are in every fucking place, which, unless they suck, right?
Right.
Pretty much. Yeah. So go to iloveincredibles.com and check them out. And then, of course, Build a Soil. This is the time of year for him to change gears a little bit because it's crazy during the spring with this company because these guys put together custom blends and also amendments and, IPM and all products that you might have a hard time finding. Delivered to your door, kind of like you guys, but more direct to the customer to this one little shop. But this one little shop is expanded into a mega humongous. No, it's not humongous. It's actually pretty good size though, and they still are. Every single person who works for them knows what's going on, so you can give a call at 855-877-SOIL, and they will pick up the phone and, like a human being, talk to you, and you can actually ask questions, or you can go online to buildsoil.com, check out all the different products they have, order online, just like
All that
stuff.
It's so easy now.
It's so crazy, man. Ordering soil to me is always weird.
Just soil to your door.
You're like, soil to the door.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Just get them in those big totes and just here, boom, you're ready to go.
Well, I
You
mean,
need a bag.
they're in Montrose, so it's
Okay,
one of
they're on the
those-
western slope.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not like the easiest.
We have a grow. We have a customer there. That's cool. Yeah, Montrose.
They're a great company. You should probably get in touch with them.
Yeah.
They will be your nexus to the organic world there. So no, perfect. I think he's a great guy, Jeremy, and I'm sure he'll work with you. That'll be your perfect little Adam Dunn show transition. It'll be like, well, if you need any builder soil and you happen to be there, boom, 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 bam. Also, another company locally, I think you were talking with, New Millennium. These guys, new company, but yet been around a long time. The owner of the company is one of the original people who put out Bud Blood years ago. So one of the first guys in the industry, understands all the
nuances.
all the things required and all the bullshit that's out
Yeah,
there, and
there's
he's
a lot of
he's
BS.
really cleared it up in his product line, and they have a new carbo starter based product which is full of aminos, and I don't forget the name of it, but it's on that. What's on the website? Can you grab that new? What's the name of it? What they call it in the end? It's a new the new carbo thing. It's just called Carbo Load, but it was spelled like Bo.
I was going to say carbo load.
But it was spelled like Bo.
I think it was Candy Carb or something like that. Or
something. I forget what
Something with a snappy name.
something good. Something super snappy. No,
it's,
they have
not
a whole.
on their, it's not on the product.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
goodness.
It was like on a. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
There it is. It's got it.
There it is.
It's got
Carbonarnia.
Carbonaria. Naria? Carbonaria.
Carbonaria.
Naria.
Naria.
Carbonaria. Sorry.
I'm 8 feet from the screen. You're 8 inches.
Yep.
Carbonaria, or just Naria?
Carbonaria.
Yep. Naria.
trying to-
Carbonaria.
It looks. I mean, it looks like candy. And it's got a bunch of candy. I guess it's gonna help with your
tastes like
fruiting, your
peanut butter.
flavor,
It
your
tastes
chirpings.
Tastes like peanut butter. No, it actually it does have a nice consistency to it though, because and the amino thing is really dope because it's like plants at at that point. That's all they really need.
want it.
Yeah, that's all they
Yeah.
really need too. So I like it. But anyway, the formula also works seasonal, so it's really easy to work with. And they also have now on their website their whole calculators, and you can kind of be more efficient on your purchases, so you don't end up buying too much of any product along the way. And then what's the name? What's the website again? It's the New Millennium, right? New Millennium.
Yeah. NewMillenniumNutrients.com.
Oh, okay. Don't forget the nutrients. NewMillenniumNutrients.com.
Yep.
And also, you can check and see. Is there a store finder there where they got them? No.
Yep. Store locator.
There you go. Bam. So I guess store locator. It's a brand new website. Just went up a couple weeks ago. Full of features. So nice. And also coming on the show in about 9 minutes here, we'll have Mr. Ron Wallace. So
Wow, that's
you can
a
just
very large tomato that
you can
Ron
just
has
leave
there.
it there, and we actually, let's see. I have. It's funny too because I found.
That is the most incredible pumpkin.
Yeah, this guy knows what's.
My, that's incredible.
Yeah, you can check it out at WallaceWow.com.
WallaceWow.com, and Ron has been on the show before, and he's one of those guys who's just pursuing excellence all the time, obviously, and we sort of tickled his fancy a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago or something like that, and through a friend of ours, because it's funny too, because it was like we had heard about him. He's on the back of what the hell is in that one company, the Mycorrhizal company that the black one. He's on the back of it, that one.
Oh, there's so many. It's so easy to get lost in the ether. There's so many nutrient lines.
It's the one that's been around a long time, and I can't remember the name of it, of course. But somebody will. Oh damn! What is it? Oh, Gardner something advanced. Not advanced. No,
House and Garden.
no. Gardner. Oh god, I can't remember. Well, anyway.
Something Gardner.
Nope. It's like a pretty professionally done product. It's always a mycorrhizal product that they did, and they had him on the back of it.
Okay.
Because the whole thing is with pumpkins and cannabis is at the endo and the ecto mycorrhizal. So it's kind of like we're on different channels. We need different things, but they're coming from a lot of times same sources and stuff. And so he's in also a really sweet spot too, because New England's one of those places where like when you've been there in the fall and you get that like a couple extra weeks and it's like warm nights and you don't get those here. You know what I mean? So that's how they can sustain such a
how they can
huge fruit. Or
it's like
huge
the
gourd.
ideal conditions.
Yeah, because here it's too dry, so we don't usually have. It's kind of a capacity that they can actually take, and so
there's more temperature. There's more temperature swings here too.
And some of those things are really necessary too, and it's just knowing and understanding those. My original introduction to this guy was through a friend of mine named Cam, who lived out here in Colorado for a bit, worked for two for a while, and we're with two, I should say, and he's a real passionate individual, I should say, to say the least. But at the same time, he came out of here, went back to the East Coast, and he couldn't really grow weed where he was at, so he kind of got into pumpkins. And when he got into pumpkins, Ron's like the legend out there. And so they worked in the long run. He kind of worked with them a little bit and then introduced me to them, to Ron a couple years ago. And it was like funny because we had just, that's giant pumpkins are always without even cannabis, and not even being a cannabis grower, those are just capture your imagination and giant fruit and giant zucchinis. And, you know what I mean?
It looks like something out of a cartoon.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck? And how do they do it? And so when you meet, and world record anything, of course, is impressive. I mean, that's for sure. And the thing is that with him, he's always in the top top of his field. But what's weird is that they're so similar to cannabis in the long run because they compete with the Europeans, and the Europeans are like, it's almost like to the point where it's like they're like neck and neck at one point, but then the Europeans are building greenhouses around their fucking individual pumpkins. Putting that much money in energy.
One thing, right.
And so these guys are, kind of doing obviously the old-fashioned way, but at the same time have their tricks up their sleeve, which is interesting. And just like, the ability to, because it's weird, like with sunflowers, like I've had so many years where I'm disappointed because I don't get the biggest, see, like you're like, bam, how do you get those? Even when you take it from the giant ones, it's not always like you don't always get the biggest ones, And these guys have done some really great selection, and some of their seeds. When we talked to Ron before, he was saying like $500 seeds and things like that, and they have enough in there to turn into a $1 million pumpkin if you could sell that many of them. But it's hard because there's only so many geeks out there.
That's a pretty expensive genetic right there.
Willing to pay it, but they'll do it. They'll do it. And so the extreme gardening. There you go, Cam. Thank you, man. Cam is on my side right there. See, so the original guy that introduced me, Cam, he's on the hotline. The Extreme Gardening, that's exactly it. You remember them, right?
Of course.
Okay, so on the back of
Extreme Gardening Mycos.
Yes. Look on the back of that product, and you'll see Mr. Ron Wallace.
Yeah, I can see the X.
You see the pumpkin in your head.
You're like,
I
can see the brand right now.
You're like, if you have that visual, you've seen it on enough shelves. I mean, that's one of those, grow shops are really weird to work at because it's like it doesn't matter where in the world you worked. That
would be me.
Oh, that would be you. Okay.
I'm that guy.
That's okay. That's all right. Could have been worse.
Right. That's just my dad wanting to look at my kids right now.
Yeah. You're like,
the huge.
Not quite there.
That's the huge.
But, it doesn't matter what grow shop. I worked in Sensi Seeds in '93 in Amsterdam, and it was like you still deal with the same sort of thing as far as it's the same kind of customers.
Sure.
Obviously things changed, product wise and stuff, but it's almost like, it's just kind of been generation after generation. But you think there's going to be a big enough change in the next couple of years that, obviously, somebody's going to stay alive because there's going to be always that home grower or whatever. But a lot of these states are really making it to the point where it might not even be worth, those shops even being open because gone are the days when people will be ordering this amount of food and this amount of lights and this amount of anything because they can't, because they can grow 12 plants maximum. And it's like, unless you want to do the Adam Dunn method, which is 7 lights, 7,000 watts per plant. Dun, 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 6 around and 1 on top.
You're gonna enter the grow off.
Yeah, and just be like, fuck it. That's the best way. Right?
I like big plants.
7 lights
And
per
I cannot
plant.
lie.
7 lights per plant. So you got 10. You got 12 plants. It's 80 lights. Or something.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a good deal.
Perfect. That's perfect for home grow.
And Mr. Wallace is on time.
Is that not James?
No, James is done. Yeah, this guy's actually on time. This is not like my other guys. Hey, Mr. Wallace, how are you doing?
Hey, Adam, how you doing? Yeah, I am always on time, as you know.
You are
on time all the time.
On time all the time. Well, it's better to be, as I learned recently, it's better to be an hour early than a minute late, right? So.
Absolutely.
You're that kind of guy, I know. So it's good hearing your voice again. Had you on the show a few times, and always. Actually, my big plan, ultimately, I'm sure you listen to Bill Burr ever.
You know, Adam, I'm going to start listening a bit more. My buddy Cam turned me on.
Yeah.
And it's just right now I am so upside down and strapped.
Oh, not my show. I'm talking the Bill Burr show. You ever listen to the Bill Burr show?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, I wasn't making sure you weren't talking about me, because you don't have to apologize to me ever, that's for sure. But, yeah, I just think, so I've reached out to him recently, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get back, because I've talked to some people who know him, and so I'm hoping to get him eventually on the show here, if possible, and if I do, I want to get you guys together, just because I think we're all the same age, and it would be interesting to kind of parlay those ones back and forth. I just like to hear you guys go off. I think that'd be hilarious.
Absolutely, I'd be all in for that.
Yeah. So, how was your year this year? I know it wasn't the year, let's say, but.
Well, we had in New England, we had a terrible spring. It was just awful. It never really got going to the middle of June. So my plants, it came out of the gates. I was behind, by about 3 weeks, and that's a lot in my hobby. And I started catching up a bit, but my timing was off, which led to a bad year for me. In growing giant pumpkins, when the plant's a certain size, the pumpkin has to be ready to accept the nutrients, the water, and everything that's going on. And my timing was just off, and then we got inches and inches of rain, and
yeah,
it was too much rain leads to some Pythium outbreaks, which led to a miserable year for me. I mean, all around New England, there's a couple of good, pumpkins around 2,000 pounds, but then that's it. There's no really strong second, third, fourth place this year. There's a couple scattered, but it's not deep because the weather was so awful. I mean, we've had a great fall, but we got to get the weight on early. It doesn't come late.
Yeah, it's a lot of times the same with cannabis. I mean, if you can't feed at the end. You got to feed them at the right moment when they can actually utilize it. Otherwise, you're just wasting your energy at that point. Did you try anything new this year, or was it just kind of like went straight for this same techniques, and it just kind of was just Mother Nature against you this time?
Well, I have the same, my same program, based on my microbes and tea brews and things like that. But, it took a long time for the soil, to warm up. And, biology, as you know, in the soil, it needs to be warm for, organics, PGPRs and stuff like that to start, chewing up, organic matter in the root zone and stuff. And that took place a little bit later. I do push, the amino acids a bit now. I mean, boron is something that's needed it's a micronutrient. You got to be careful with it, but I push the envelope on boron, and it makes my seed counts crazy high, which I know my plant's absorbing boron. So, I pushed it a little bit on boron this year till I saw a tiny bit of toxicity, because we'll get toxicity and micronutrients in the new leaves. And as soon as I start to see that, I'll back way off. So I kind of ramped the boron up to where my tissue test had me at like max capacity. Even though my fruit didn't result in what I wanted this year. Yeah. My tissue testing and everything was right there. And like I said, in a bad year.
And did you say the seed production was high? And you said the seed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
definitely. If boron is one of the main reasons for boron is, for seed development and seed counts.
Nice.
And
That's
you know,
good.
there's an old saying is, you know, if you want to get your calcium up too, calcium is the truck, but boron is the driver. And it's what's boron makes calcium more available. You have to have your boron right, or your calcium is just always going to be flailing by the wayside. So in giant pumpkins, we require so much calcium for cell division, cell elongation, especially when that fruit is just being pollinated. A lot of people think a lot of times they're going to get into calcium midway through or late in the game. It's too late. You need cell division, cell elongation, which happens daily. You need to be right where you need to be when you're pollinating. And that first 15, 20 days, they say, sets the tone for how much division and elongation you can get. You know, like our fruit grows on average 30 to 50 plus pounds a day.
Right. No, that's crazy. And I mean, that's one of those things where it's interesting because it's like looking at things through a microscope or something like that. Because you know, the reality is, you know, your needs are so high on those things that you poop out right away if you don't deliver. Right. I mean, there's
we feed daily. You know, we're kind of like, you know, my cannabis friends around here, because in Rhode Island it's totally blown up, as you know, and you know, we spoon feed daily, and you know, my basis of my program is like, I'd say 70-75% organics, and you know, 20%, 25%. You know, maybe I wouldn't even touch near 30. Maybe it's 75-25. You know, we do spoon feed some synthetics because you just need it at certain points when you're putting on that type of weight. But what we found is, instead of going out once a week and fertilizing and saying, okay, yeah, I met my fertilizer needs, we do it daily. So what I was doing over a course of 7 days, I break it down now. So when I'm doing, you know, either foliar or soil drench, I'll just break it down. So each day I'm feeding that plant whatever I'm feeding. It's potassium silicates, whatever, you know, whatever stage growth I'm in, I know when to hit my lights to go, hey, I got to turn now and go to strictly potassium. So that's helped us out a lot in the last, 3 or 4 years is daily feeding versus let's just throw everything at it once or twice a week and think we're done.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is it's obviously a daily trend. So how many spots do you do this year? Do you have like one main location, or did you kind of farmed out different areas for different, you know, in case one goes wrong?
Well, I started with six plants this year. I have 11 acres, which in Rhode Island, as you know, that's like that's a big piece. That's a big piece of land. I'm almost in the eastern Connecticut line there, so I get a pretty good spread. So I can move gardens around. So I have 6 areas. Each plant's 1,000 square foot. But I got yellow vine disease this year on a couple plants, which is yellow vine disease is started by a squash bug that basically just takes a bite out of one of your leaves, and the bacterium infects the plants, and it'll shut the whole plant down and pumpkin within days. You don't even know what's happening. Then you'll see leaves turn yellow. The plant will get stunted. So that was a big problem in New England this year. That's something we got to keep our eye on. We have to start our sprays for insects a lot earlier, because it really caught probably 20, 30 growers that I know throughout New England this year. Everybody had 1 or 2 plants go down. So I was without a couple of plants right out of the gate. Then my 4 other spots, one had been solarized, the year before. I'm always cover cropping, and I cover crop with Kodiak mustard, which is like mustard on steroids. And when you till it in the ground, and the glucosinolates is what's released by the mustard. It's basically mustard gas. It's like methyl bromide.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and what we do is we tarp it, and for about 3 weeks you can smell the gas fuming off from that. So we wet the soil down really good. So I tested my soil for pathogens before the test, and then afterwards in Western Labs in Parma, Idaho, that does my results. When he called me back, he said, "Ron," he goes, "you knocked the shit out of the pathogens in your soil." So that's what we kind of do on the off season. Like right now, I have areas that I'm getting ready for next year. I've been working on them all summer. After I fumigate it, I'll do a cover crop of zinnias on it, because zinnias are a great host for mycorrhizal fungi, and my whole program's about mycorrhizal fungi and what it does in the soil.
Right.
And so I have a few step program of cover cropping to get ready. But 6 plants this year. got knocked out of the gates right away. I was down to 4. I mean, I took second place at a weigh-off at over 1,500 pounds a few weeks ago, but that's not where it's at anymore. My main weigh-off is tomorrow in Rhode Island, which I've been fortunate to win 6 times, but it's not going to happen this year. So, I may be in the top 4 or 5 around 1,700 pounds, but that's, when you put 2,300 pounds in this, last year and grow 2,300 or 2 North American records in a row, and you come back with 1,700 pounder, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's almost 500 pounds less. That's not. Yeah, that's.
It's a good reality check, it's to let you know that you can't get complacent,
Well, it's also it's good for. I think it's good for the. I mean, it's one of those things where, it's hard to say if it's best to be the second place or to lose that to know that you're that much further down, so that you just kind of like give everybody else the hope that there's, you're not gonna. Because I mean, of course, if you're gonna win, you're gonna win. That's obviously gonna be the best, but. At the same time, for you to get second, it's almost like nicer for you to like not take second. Like if you're gonna win, just like come in hard and crush it again. You know what I mean? That's because those little icebreakers might take you, might break you. You know what I mean? Because it's more like you got so close, and then all of a sudden, So
I got a couple of buddies of mine said to me, they said, Ronnie, believe me, nobody's shedding a tear this year that you're not in the mix. That's for sure. I said, I know how this hobby goes. And you want your friends to do well. Everybody wants to do well, and I'll be right there for my friends tomorrow. A buddy of mine has a shot for a world record for the largest green squash ever grown. So we support each other. But it's just like in your industry too. I'm sure you evaluate each crop and make notes, because if you're not thinking outside of the box and you're not tinkering or trying to move forward, you're moving backwards. And I found with dealing with the medical growers in Rhode Island, it's the ones with the open mind who are willing to ask questions to try to get better. Those are the ones who do eventually get better. They just don't. Their buddy hands them a jug or something and says, "Here, use this every watering," and that's all you got to do.
Right.
There's a small percentage of people around here who really want to go for it, and those are the ones who'll send me pictures. The next crop, and you're like, holy shit, they are getting better.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your line that you put together that we're repping on the show here, because I know it's focusing on, let's say more on gourds and squashes and pumpkins and things, but there's a lot of crossover, and obviously you're now getting a chance to put some of those to the test, I think, right?
Sure, absolutely. Well, Wallace Organic Wonder is the name of my business, and I think I told you before, a quick story. It was started because whatever I did on the pumpkins for my biology mixture, I would give to friends and family, and they would use it on their tomatoes, vegetables, flowers. They loved it, and everybody kept saying, you should market this.
Right.
So I took my recipe and found a manufacturer who would manufacture it for me. And so we went through a couple of seasons of trials just to make sure that we had everything buttoned up. And it started doing well. It's my third year, and the first year was good. Second year, things started to do very well. And the third year, knock on wood, things have started to blow up. For one reason is because the cannabis industry have found me. The growers who I do mention, who go on the internet and educate themselves like we, the giant pumpkin growers, do. There's a total common denominator between cannabis growers and giant pumpkin growers, giant vegetable growers, is the ones who want to do better, who are always on the internet looking research development and have an open mind. We have that in our hobby too. And what I found in the medical community is not everybody, but there's a percentage of growers who want to get better. Well, they're the ones who have found me and found my single species of mycorrhizal fungi and how good it works, and the tea brews and the whole combination. And what they did is they started using it, started getting good results, and they started to tell their friends. It was kind of like an organic grassroots approach to it.
Sure.
And it started slowly, and then all of a sudden, this third year, it has definitely been on. And the same growers are repeat ordering, which is a great sign.
So you said single mycorrhizal?
Yeah, Rhizobacchus intraradices, used to be formerly Glomus intraradices, is what I choose, is what I've chosen to grow the pumpkins with, because It's a known fact it outcompetes everything in the soil in low organic or high organic soils. That's why if you look at the bags, I always try to educate people, is turn the bags over and see what products are in there, endo and ecto, because people will be buying mycorrhizae to use on cannabis and it won't even colonize because it's the wrong species.
Right.
But you'll always notice on the back of those bags, you'll see Rhizobacchus or Glomus intraradices. You'll see that in every mix, because unless you're growing pine trees or you're using a different species, because it does colonize so fast and it just outcompetes. And the quicker you get to colonization,
It's the blue dream of mycorrhizas. It's just it overdoes. It's the blue. Oh no, everybody's using it. No, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It's the quicker you can get inoculated is once that root system starts chugging along, and you know what it does. It lives its life as a symbiont. It supplies the plant with what its need, and the plant supplies mycorrhizae with the carbons and the sugars coming off the plant. And
Right.
a lot of people think, well, it's just mainly responsible for phosphorus. Well, you know what? Phosphorus is a big thing for root development in mycorrhizae. But
For both bud and root. So it's
yeah,
kind of,
exactly. But there's a lot of other things it does. Bringing more nutrients. The more roots, the more you have of a root system, and those filaments and the fibers that go throughout the soil. It's the more water it brings back. It's the more nutrients it brings back. It excretes something called glomalin, a product called glomalin, which is like a organic. It's like a sticky residue that helps hold soil together. So there's so many benefits of it. So that's what I started doing in the giant pumpkin world. And then, we're very open with our information in the giant pumpkin world. What I found with cannabis growers is some are, and they like to help educate, and others are very secretive.
Sure.
In our end of it, we're very open with our stuff, and that's how we started all, jumping on the mycorrhizae, bandwagon, and, using the correct products. And that's kind of how I work with my manufacturer,
Right.
To develop,
And so
develop mine.
So I was explaining to the listeners earlier that, like, your photos on the back of the Extreme Gardening Mycos product, right? Still.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So people,
Yes,
so
yep.
a lot of people probably have already seen like that giant pumpkin. And that's the thing. It's interesting because I've noticed now that there seems to be, this. Do you think there's more of a resurgence of new growers now, like interested in pumpkins and competitive pumpkin growing? Obviously, I mean more than just. Is it
Absolutely. And
yeah.
yeah, because of the publicity that we've received. And, I always like to tell stories. When I started out with this 25 years ago with my father, is that, soil labs and agronomists, botanists, nobody wanted to deal with us. We were a joke, growing a giant pumpkin. But then in turn, they see what we've done through selective genetics and breeding. We can grow more pounds on 1,000 square foot than anybody in the world, and that's been done because of all of us around the world creating hybrid vigor, genetics, crosses. Some work, some don't, but we keep strengthening the line. That's why you used to see a lot of odd-shaped and a lot of bad-looking stems and things, but we bred that out of our lines now so that they're pretty narrow. But the only way we've gotten to that was the proper use of combination organic fertilizers and some synthetics. Keeping the soil right, keeping the biology in the soil right. But now those people at the labs who used to laugh at us all the time, they're constantly contacting me to say, hey, we're taking a look at this, product. A few years ago, people would say, PGPRs, rhizobacteria, what is that? Now it's I don't want to say it's mainstream, but it's sort of getting it. You can go to any box store now and see mycorrhizae on a bag of something, and people don't know how to pronounce it, and they say, what's that, myco-easy?
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is coming mainstream, and
Yeah.
I find people have jumped involved. More people have gotten on the pumpkin bandwagon because they see it on TV, and everybody starts and says, wow, I'd like to grow one with my grandson, father, son, family, family activity. And more people are getting back to growing their own vegetables. Everybody wants to know where their stuff comes from because of all the horror stories out there about food. People are growing more their own. All you need is a couple of raised beds in your yard. You can grow enough tomatoes and lettuces and things like that from the summer to the fall where you got a small family of 4, you can really eat good. So there's been a big push of people getting back to growing their own vegetables and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, and I think also the interest kind of comes from both sides. Like when you're like when I was growing up, it was always it's been cannabis, 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 cannabis. But at the same time, that sparked my interest about growing everything. And I think on your side, you got a lot of people that are interested in growing pumpkins, and if it's competitive, it's kind of like it isn't necessarily for food production. It's more for just trying to beat the next guy, let's say. But at the same time, the interest of just growing everything. So I mean that's why I feel like it's very addictive, and that's why I love growing in the first place too. Is that if you understand that they kind of cross over, and our last talk was to me kind of amazing as far as the crossover on the timing and the nurturing side of the thing, and then later on the having to keep up with everything, and then do you find that what's your other plants that are more difficult for you to grow? Do you have other things that you can't grow that you just have a hard time with?
No, I grow things that are that in New England that we can grow relatively well. You name it, I've grown it. I've grown it in the garden, and it's from your standard. Everybody grows tomatoes, and stuff like that. Those, I want to say I haven't really struggled with anything that I plant in my soils here.
Yeah.
Because they used to being grown in New England.
Yeah, you're not experimenting with goji berries or anything like that, or something that you're just out of your league.
With the giant pumpkins taking up so much work and effort, it's tough for me to. My garden is a couple thousand square foot of regular vegetables and stuff. That's a lot of work, along with 6,000 square foot of pumpkins and 11 acres and stuff. But a little anecdote is what I've noticed in Rhode Island now. I think I told you this the last time. What I noticed with the cannabis growers is a lot of them, it's the only thing they've ever grown. A lot of them, they've never grown anything
exactly
about cannabis, and their friend gets them involved in. But what I found a few years later now is those same growers, because people come up and they stop me all the time because they know I'm selling product or helping educate them. And what happens is they start with only growing cannabis, but now after a couple of years they got a little confidence they can grow things, and they'll tell me, hey, Ronnie, I'm using your starter packs on my cannabis and my tomatoes. So now I find that the cannabis growers who started, and that's all they've ever grown, now they're growing small vegetable gardens and raised beds, and which is kind of neat that they get confidence growing one crop, and it dovetails over into another.
Yeah, I know that is kind of for me the goal actually is to take care of myself as much as possible. If I have a little piece of land somewhere, especially if I'm growing cannabis, for me it doesn't seem to make sense to not take your soil and use raised beds. At the end of your crop, throw it into a raised bed, and be able to. Because at my first place here, I did that, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome, because so many times I've just dumped my soil, or I've taken it to somebody else, or left it just, never ever used it. But there's such a high benefit to using all that, and on top of that, New England, you guys are a little bit special. You're in a little special nook, as far as when it comes to what you're actually doing. So do you guys, the rest of the country kind of get pissed off that you guys have this little extra couple of weeks and you guys get this little perfect, because other places are already done, right?
Well, I tell you, it's funny you say that, is because a couple times when I've won, there was some grumbling because, my way off, was this, this weekend, and other people were done a couple of weeks ago and he was still growing. So you hear that. There's people who are root for you, and there's always jealousies. I'm sure you see it in your industry too. So we get that a little bit. So some other way-offs around the country we've noticed now have pushed this back. I mean, next weekend, which to me is very late to be going into the 14th of October, there's some heavy-duty way-offs next weekend that are paying anywhere from $5 to $7 a pound.
Wow.
That's getting late. And I think the reason they pushed it out late is because if somebody has a really special pumpkin going, that they're going to hold it on the vine, they're going to try to put on an extra, 30 pounds or so, or whatever, and take it there. None of us, like I said, I don't chase way-offs for money. It's nice I can put it back into my hobby and buy other equipment and stuff like that.
So
But
you're saying like they'd mostly do it by like that, by weight, X amount per pound.
Yeah.
How much? What was it?
Yep,
What was the price you said?
$7 a pound.
$7. So if you have a 2,000, you're looking at pretty good money there.
Yeah, it's about 14 grand. I mean, I've had some bonuses at weigh-offs where I got 10 grand for the first 2,000 pounder, plus the prize money I think was 3,500 or 4 grand for first place too. So yeah, it was. Hey, it's a nice bonus when it comes. Nobody puts a seed in the ground saying I got to do this to support my family.
No, that would be a bad move.
At the end of the day, if I can, like I said, I bought a tractor a few years ago. Got a few things to help furthering the hobby and the education and stuff like that. So there's a lot of satisfaction in growing giant vegetables because we're pushing each other to get bigger, and we're talking about the world's first 3,000 pound pumpkin maybe in the next 4 or 5 years. That's just crazy.
That's nuts. And when did they break the 1,000 mark, and when did they break the 2,000 mark? I mean, you're the one that broke. You broke the
1,000 mark. Yeah, the 1,000 mark was in 2002, I believe. I have to check that out. And then I was in 2000 and what was I?
Probably 15 or 14.
No, 2012 was when I grew the world's first 2,000 pounder.
Oh, nice one.
2012, and then in 2006 I grew the world's first 1,500 pounder. So it took 6 years to get from 1,500 pounds to 2,000 pounds, and then
that's pretty amazing how the transition though, and that's all from. Do you think that's mostly from breeding though?
Well, I think it's a combination. Genetics certainly play a huge role because you're not going to take a field pumpkin seed and you're going to be able to do this. Yeah. It's genetics, it's soil biology, the products we're using. It's a whole. It's just like that book, Teaming with Microbes. It's the whole thing that's going on underground to make it work. And you're trying to figure out how big the plant should be, how to prune it, because pruning is huge in our hobby to accelerate growth. And you can't have too much plant. You can't, like I said earlier, my timing was way off this year. And when your timing's off, your fruit suffers. So that's what happened.
I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed when I see the giant pumpkins that are still connected, that nothing can get through that. You know what I mean? Like it actually can kind of like work. That just feels. And you're like, man, that seems like it's so much weight going through. Does it all? So it all literally comes through just that one vine there.
It has the main vine. Obviously you start the plant, the main vine, and then off the main vine we run side vines, call them laterals. And the object is to fill up 1,000 square foot. But you start the seeding, the second week of April there, and you're outside May 1st. By summer solstice there in June 21st there. You really need to be pollinating because you've got to catch all the full sun daylights. But you really need to be like 15 foot out on that main vine. So you've got to be out there a ways so you can have enough what we call salad between the base of the plant, to the pumpkin. You got to have enough growth there to sustain, to get that thing going.
Right.
Timing is very important.
Yeah, and it's and I guess you guys lose a lot on just growing too fast or cracking or kind of is that from too fast a growth normally or?
Yeah, well, a lot of times they split. If you're growing 40, 50 pounds a day, you split and they just grow so fast. Sometimes they get away from you. We found when the plant is almost full, when the pumpkin's chugging along, they're going to take between 75 and 125 gallons of water every day, unless you get rain. That's a lot of water.
That is a lot. That is a lot. And then so obviously in the opposite situation, when it gets if you're too dry, you just lose steam, or what would be the issue if
exactly.
you miss a day?
Dry,
if you miss a day,
if you're too dry, you're not going to be able to put on the weight that you need to put on. And if you go like every other day and you go too dry, then you put too much water to it, that's when they explode because they're just sucking up the water and they're trying to make up for that, instead of, holding it. The key with this is holding its peak weight. If you can hold close to 50 pounds for 2-3 weeks, you really got something. Or whatever you're growing. Say your peak that year is 30 pounds. You got to hold it as much as you can, but you got to stay consistent because up and down spikes of water is one of the worst things, when you're growing a giant vegetable.
I gotcha. So yeah, so it's more keeping it steady, and I mean, and it's like. It's funny because if you watch people watering cannabis, everybody has their own technique, you know what I mean? Especially on soil.
Yep.
Some people do, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. Some people go kind of keep it always a little bit wet. Some, and then, there's obviously people who just fuck it all up. I guess you should just throw them in the mix, right? But no, for the most part, and I argue that they like to have a dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. But the problem is you got to be really on it because it's like you can't miss the rhythm of that one. And whereas the constantly wet guy, which I've dealt with a lot of people that are more onto that, they're pushing it sometimes because it'll be like in their mind it's good because it's wet, but it's like in my mind it's like it's not moving enough air, you know what I mean? So then there's all those issues. But
you get a lot of root rot from guys who are keeping it that wet all the time, especially in a smaller pot.
I mean, you get root bound before you get root rot usually. And the thing is that I always consider root rot just like completely having your you've done something wrong at that point. It's not even like the plant shouldn't even get to that issue. There's something with your drainage or whatever at that point, and that's because on their own they'll take care of themselves.
Sure.
And it's usually in hydro that you get issues that would, give you that illusion of root, like what we would call root rot, and that's just because they're harder to maintain compared to once you're in soil, they just very rarely will ever have an issue like that. So how did your year go cannabis wise? It's like I know you were helping some people out or looking at some. I know you were
absolutely
checking out some stuff.
It's been spectacular.
Yeah.
It's been great, and our WOW grower right here in New England, he's been reporting back to me, that his patients have absolutely loved it. He says he's picked up a much more earthier, flavor, from it. He's been able to dial back his synthetics a bit, and this guy was a good grower to begin with. He wasn't a person who's only been growing a year or two. He's a really proven grower who's taken up a WOW grow along with a few others, and it's been, I got to knock on wood because it's just been working really well for everybody, and they're ecstatic about it. They love the starter packs. Once they have roots, they come out of the clone and they put the starter packs underneath so they don't burn their plants, and it's got mycorrhizae in it, so it gets them off to a really good start. Jeff Lowenfels, who wrote the book Teaming with Microbes, he's done some testing for me and has been rave reviewing and emailing me and sending information out to his friends about his results that he's been having. So I get a lot of stuff like that every single day now. It comes, but my grower here in New England says his patients absolutely love it. He says his patients with PMS really love the stuff that he's grown using my line. I said, well, whatever, as long as you have happy patients, that's what it's about. But his yields, he said he's got a 10 to 15% yield increase, and he's a top end grower to begin with. Like I said, he wasn't just somebody who just got involved with this.
Did he use your entire line, or did you have a sort of specific thing that you kind of focused on?
Yes, he's been doing the microbes, the premium mycorrhizal inoculant, the super starter packs, and he's big on the tea brews. He's a big tea brew guy, and when the tea brews, you're doing, you're feeding the soil, and it's a good program in making your soil and your microbes feed organically your plants, so you don't get a lot of spikes and everything. But he gets a ton of tea brews from me,
nice.
Mycorrhizae and starter packs, and the starter packs have really taken off because I think a lot of people are always afraid they're going to burn their plants. I tell them all the time, mycorrhizal fungi is not going to burn your plants. It's one of the only things you can't overuse it. If you overuse it, you're only going to waste money.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are doing the starter packs and then a couple of tablespoons of the mycorrhizal inoculant right underneath the plant. And I get pictures all the time, what I call big plant, small plant, and people are really enjoying it. And I'm very very proud and happy of what it's done. I'm so thankful for the support I've had in the community. being a new guy in that arena, I've got an awful lot of support from some really nice people who are using the product and having good results. So
yeah, well, there's
I'm very happy
there
about
is
that.
the Cannabis Cup coming up in the 21st and 22nd down in Wakefield. So I have to make sure you get. I might be rolling into town for that. I'm not sure yet, but you definitely need to link up with some of the people down there, and like I'll get you linked up with Timmy again, of course, and and all those guys. But you should, yeah, because it's always nice to, you're super knowledgeable about plants, and that's kind of like where a lot of these other guys are super knowledgeable about weed, where we talked about, and they're not really knowledgeable about plants in general. And if they just listen, kind of to the, it is actually the same. It's just in a different, getting a different result. You know what I mean? So,
Sure.
the products that you have are you're shipping them out yourself, or you got any kind of distribution companies or anything like that right now?
Oh, right now everything big orders.
Mm-hmm.
Big orders I ship from my my manufacturer, and then I have a warehouse right here in Rhode Island, and every day that the FedEx or the mail's running, I'm shipping.
Okay,
And
nice.
So that's 6 days a week. So the order comes in to me, it gets shipped out the next. It gets shipped out the next day, unless it's Sunday. It goes right out. It gets shipped fresh. The thing about mycorrhizae too and products like that, you really got to check your expiration dates. I tell people that all the time, because you don't want something that's been sitting around for a few years, because like anything else, it'll start to die off.
Yeah.
So I pride myself on freshness, getting it out the door, customer service. The way I can take on the bigger people is just with knowledge and customer service, and that's how I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, and you have the the wherewith of a guy who actually knows how to deal with people, and that's if you're a gardener and you got a product like you do, which is excellent, then it doesn't hurt to. I mean, obviously people will misuse many things, and they'll complain if it doesn't work exactly the way they think it does. And with organics, it's like a lot of things where some people see the results right away because they just don't know what they're looking for, and other people are looking for silver bullets and kind of like, what the hell? This is and it's like, so I'm sure you go through the gamut of dealing with customers.
Yeah. I tell people that all the time, that I'm not selling snake oil or lightning in a bottle. I'm selling a biology program that if you stick with it, you're going to see the results. And another thing that a lot of people, buy from me is my humic fulvic acid. They love to supplement their waterings with humic fulvic.
Yes,
Just
right.
something else to help feed the soil. I sell tons. That's just another one. It got hotter than a firecracker last summer. Somebody said, well, they heard about it in a chat room, and they heard about my product, and it dissolves really good. And they saw good results, and all of a sudden it just exploded. So that's.
Is that a humic fulvic combo, or is they separate products? Or
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yep, humic fulvic combo.
So you got the immobile and mobile, and you get it all covered basically.
Yep. And it dissolves. It won't clog. In our end of it, growers. In the extreme business, I call it, growing giants, they don't want to clog injectors or anything else like that. The stuff dissolves really good. Lots of seaweed, too. I think even the basic cannabis growers know the benefits of seaweed and kelp and all that stuff. And that's all stuff that goes really well for me. But, like I said, the big three for me is the starter packs, the mycorrhizal fungi, and the tea brew. Those are the, that's my, 2, 3, 4 hitters if we were baseball in the lineup,
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, kelp's great because it covers a lot of bases, and it's really easy for when they're seedlings, and you're not really pushing things too hard and stuff. But then later on, I mean, the humic and fulvic is kind of like the magic bullet for a lot of products out there. How many?
That's a key though, Adam, because when you look at humic fulvic and you look at a lot of products out there, and people are paying like a ridiculous amount of money, and it's all it is 94% like humic acid. But when people take it and they put a drop in water, and they'll see this big black and brown color explode.
Right. Yeah. It's so concentrated.
They say to themselves naturally, "Oh my God, it's so concentrated. Look at this." And really, all it is humic acid, and humic acid on the spectrum is not very expensive. I mean, mine contains a minimum of 93% humic and fulvic. It's a real deal. It's not cut. It's not hammered out. It comes mine to me, and I ship it in from a long way away, but it was the best product I found through testing back when I started growing pumpkins a long time ago. I was dealing with this company, and it was the best for a lot of reasons, and I pay a lot of money to ship it to me just because it is. If I'm going to attach my name to it, it's got to be really good.
Right. And so how much are these things going for? Because that is one of those expensive. Anything fulvic is usually super expensive anyway.
Yeah, you can get a pound. I mean, a pound of humic fulvic acid goes a long way. You can get a pound on my website for $18.50 delivered. My prices all include delivery.
Right, nothing.
So shipping's included.
Yeah.
And
a pound will definitely go a long way. That's one of those things where I've had a pound of humic, just humic, not humic fulvic, but humic, and it was like, I still have it. I've had it for 5 years or something like that. It's like
at a half a teaspoon per gallon of water, that goes a long way. And then people ask me all the time, I doubled it up.
Yeah,
and I said, what I call myself in this industry, I call myself a moron at times because I put more on, and sometimes that's just kind of just wasting money and stuff. You're not gonna. I'm a proponent of people not wasting money. There's so many other things we can buy and we can do. Then don't waste money on products that are garbage. Number one, number two, by doubling up and tripling up, you're just wasting money.
Sure. And I mean, it's just like cooking or something. Cooking and doubling your heat or something. I mean, come on, guy. It's not going to cook twice as fast. It's not going to come out the same. So it's just patience is the key. And a lot of times with a lot of it's kind of the opposite. If they say to use X amount, you should put about half. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times the plants aren't even taking in that much anyway. So, a lot of times less is more.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like I said, when we feed daily, we've had to come up with a program to make sure that we're not overdoing it too. And I'm sure it's the same thing. Like I said, with my exposure currently. With lots of local growers is seeing it in person, but like I said, the emails, I'm connected with people all over, all over the United States. But I see it locally, here, and how people are working on their programs and adding things and stuff like that, till they get to the point where they keep pushing themselves. And then some people are just happy getting what they can have to supply a few patients and supply themselves. They just don't want to get any better, and that's fine too,
Well, and if it works for them, then that's fine. And that's the thing about growing. You can make it complicated if you want, and you can make it super easy. I know people who, don't feed their plants anything really. They just, they wouldn't even and they think it's going great. And the thing is, at the end of the day, even when the plants look really scrawny and terrible, somehow magically they put on something at the very end, you know what I mean? And you're like, man, those things, I couldn't even believe they did that, And then you have other people who spend a fortune on it, and they don't necessarily grow great weed either, too, because they've overdone it, So there's issues on all the way around. So, you just got to find your balance, which is the key to every good grower, I guess. Little homeostasis kind of going, where you know exactly what the plant needs or what the soil needs, so. You're always thinking more about the soil than the plant, because you're obviously, your plants are taking up so much from the soil at a certain point, So it's
I always like to say I feed my soil, and the soil in turn feeds the plant. But I'm sure you can walk into your grow and take a look at your plants. You can tell by the leaves a lot of times once you do it long enough what they need. When I have people email me all the time and they think they have a disease, but really they have a magnesium deficiency, magnesium sulfur, and stuff like that. So a lot of times disease mimics a nutrient deficiency, stuff like that. So I go by I do an awful lot of testing and stuff, but over the years you can look at a plant and kind of tell what it needs, or if it needs a good kick in the ass, what you got to do.
Yeah. And so you got things on the horizon for next year that you're kind of planning up, or new crosses that you made, or any kind of things that you're kind of excited about?
Well, the crosses I made this year, genetic-wise on paper, they look like, they're spectacular, but, we'll see. The crosses I did last year have done very, very well this year. So there's a lot of excitement in my community about them. So,
Yeah,
and then like I said, the
you-
products with
do you
there's a
do
lot
all
of
inbreeding?
distributors
Do you
knocking on the
do
doors,
do you
so-
do all inbreeding, like with as far as like say this year's crosses? Would they be anything brought in from the outside, like some secret sauce or something, or is it like is it?
Well, there's a couple of genetic lines in the pumpkin world now that my world record 2009 seed was considered the best seed in the world. Up until last season, there was another pumpkin that was from a 2145 that has really dominated now last year and this year. So what we try to do is I got that 2145 seed and I crossed that with my 2307 last year. So what we do is we take my 2307 came from my 2009. So what I've done there is I've taken the best of the best line, my 2009, the biggest it's ever produced, and crossed it with the new hot thing on the market. And we're hoping that the next generation brings even bigger pumpkin. It's the only way we can get to 3,000 pounds is we've got to keep getting bigger.
And do you know, are they interbred? Are they like intersex? Or are they interbred from before? You think? Or
Well, there's so much inbreeding that's going on with the pumpkins now over the years. There's so much
you don't know what's
in
going
all
on.
the lines now.
Yeah.
It's been so much going on. What's that?
Everything by weight and years now, pretty much, like 1990.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
That's
it. They haven't really. Is there like color differentiation? Like you got ones like sometimes you get them orange and sometimes you get them white. Is there ones that like lines that do that on the whole line, or is it like?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some guys who breed for color who are going for color. Me, my stuff's generally kind of salmonish, a little bit of orange, some whitish in there. But there's some guys who grow and gals who grow just strictly for color, and that's not me. I'm a weight guy. But my line is kind of that salmonish. You're not going to get Cinderella-looking pumpkin from. But I do have. If you go to my website wallacewall.com, the opening picture on my website is my 2307 with me from last year, and for me that had tremendous color. It was nice and orange. I don't know where it came from. It probably from a few generations back, because my line from the 2009 wasn't known for great color.
Right.
But sometimes something will come out a few generations.
And that was the big one. That was the 23.
Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah,
so
you see that's the first picture that comes up.
Maybe that's in a recessive something that you should be looking for, right? That's that's the magic part. Well, that's awesome. And then is there any kind of like besides orange and yellow and kind of those side of the color schemes, is there any still large pumpkins, any other kind of style or from any other parts of the world
Well, green squash is pretty big now, which is basically looks just like a pumpkin, but it's green. And that's been I haven't had an interest in growing it. The world record for green squash was set last year at 1,844 pounds.
That's getting big.
Tomorrow it'll probably get annihilated by my friend here, who has a green squash that we lifted today. It's estimated close to around 2,000 pounds. So how did they get there so fast? I mean, green squash up until a few years ago was 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds. Well, finally somebody said, hey, listen, if we're going to get these squash going, we have got to add some pumpkin genetics. So what they did is, in that squash line goes back to one of my lines of pumpkins. So what they did is they crossbred, and the color came out consistently green, which is, it's going to take the squash breeders a few more years to self-it, to get the color right. The color on the one I saw today was very good. A true, squash has a dark kind of army-ish green.
Yeah.
But the one last year and the one I saw today look very good. But the only way they got those squash weights up is because they had to put some pumpkin into it.
The GMO, those bitches. They did some GMO. No, people are going to complain about that, or is that?
No. The color's good. The color meets the rules, and everybody knew going in. The hardcore squash growers, they don't. There's not a lot of. Some pumpkin growers grow squash. I don't. They're very, very tricky. They're tough to pollinate. And when they were only at 1,000 pounds, 1,200, I said, hell, we're on the doorstep of 2,500 pound pumpkins. Why do I want to go back to 1,200 pounds?
Yep.
But no, it's within the rules. and it meets the color, uniformity for the rules. So it's.
It seemed like they'd be
it's
more.
all
It seemed
good.
like they would be harder to move than a pumpkin, even because of the soft kind of. Well, those become harder, obviously, when they're that big, but they still have that
Yeah,
kind of.
I'll tell you, we've been moving them for years. So we did what did we do? 5 of them today. So tripod harness, seatbelt straps, get it up in the air, and put the trailer underneath. So we're not in trucks anymore. It's all trailers. So.
Yeah, you guys are slanging them around like there ain't nothing anymore, huh?
Nah, we've been doing it for a lot of years, but we've had a lot of guys with we've had a lot of 7-8 pound tomatoes this year too grown, around the United States. So we're kind of pushing for the world's first 10-pound tomato.
Wow.
So I don't think that's going to happen this year. Maybe next year.
And are they similar?
So a lot of exciting things.
Are they similar to the pumpkins where they're not very good though, or that size?
I got a couple of pictures on my website. You want to check it out? They don't taste bad. I had some competition tomato plants in this year, but I just got way too busy and lost it. I had 4 tomatoes over 4 pounds on one plant. The biggest was almost 5 pounds.
Uh-huh.
They don't taste bad. They really don't taste bad. They don't look that great, but
Right.
they don't taste bad. I mean, it's not like you're picking,
Yeah, sure.
a really great heirloom tomato for a salad. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Certainly better than you could never eat these pumpkins. They're just awful.
Right. And no, I was gonna say at least with the tomatoes you can make sauce and stuff like that, which is always a good thing. Pumpkin, they're just straight up all super woody. The ones you guys grow, huh? They're not really.
Yeah, and that's it. And then the seeds is a huge afterlife for the seeds for the hobby. And
obviously.
95% of the seeds in this hobby are given away for free,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we've been able to progress to the weights we have.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, cannabis is similar too, because a lot of breeders, we only sell a small most breeders, if you make 10,000 seeds, you sell about 1,250 to 1,500 of them, and the rest are either B grade or tossed in a sense, because you might have seeds, but you don't have seeds. I mean, it has to be presentable, and if it was a survival, you'd have a shitload more, because probably a lot of them would sprout, but they're unsellable in a sense. Pumpkins must pretty much, you don't get as many duds as like cannabis. You can get, depending on if you hit them up too early or too late, you can end up with immature ones, or and then end up with like those half seeds and bullshit. But you don't seem to, with pumpkins, they always seem like there's not very many for the size of the pumpkin, but they always look like they're pretty good. So
yeah, they're usually pretty good. You might sometimes you can get 100% pull out of them. They all look perfect. And other times you'll get immatures, white tips, and you get 10, 15%, maybe more. But I'd say 80, 85% of the times when you open up a pumpkin, those seeds, if it's matured, they look good. We really don't have that big a problem with seeds as far as that they're all germinated inside the pumpkin or something. I mean, we've had problems before, but consistently they produce, between 300 and 600 seeds out of a pumpkin.
And that doesn't really matter how big it is so much, or
Nope. Some are bigger, some are small. Once again, just doesn't matter. It's just, as you know, it's all about the genetics inside there.
Sure. Well, that's a pretty small number of seeds compared to cannabis. Cannabis seeds get a lot more per plant, that's for sure. But like I was saying earlier, it's a lot with timing with those too. We want to hit them up. It's always people want to wait until they see buds and they get things. In a way, you actually want them just to be little cotton balls, barely buds. Get fully seeded and you're already got enough. You know what I mean? The minute you wait until they're already going, you kind of get less seeds than you would if you did them earlier. Let them do their thing. So I think we're gonna wrap up for this show. But anyway, we're gonna give you one more shout out there, Ron, because we want to get some. We know people are picking their own pumpkins that they grew, and after they see yours, they're definitely not boasting anymore. But at the same time, there's for the growers out there that want to pick up some good organic material from you, we pulled up your site, obviously. But give it to us.
Check me out at wallacewild.com and do a straight up test. Buy some of the products, give it a try, and then send me an email. I know you'll be happy.
And if they contact you from the Adam Dunn Show, you got maybe some special for them for those. What are those starter packs that you were doing? That sounds like a good product to get people interested?
Oh, the Super Starter Packs, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a great product. They're once again originally developed for the home gardener for tomato plants and stuff, and just throw a couple underneath the plant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really it's taken off more in the cannabis end than it has for the home gardeners. They really enjoy them, but I found the cannabis joys. That's the one that Jeff from Teaming with Microbes has just been raving about. But that it's been moving very, very, very well. So once again, I think those are $13.95 for a package of 30, and that's with shipping. And it's a very small investment to get your plants off to a great start.
Right. Well, that's a pretty damn good deal. I was trying to think of a deal in my head. I was like, well, it's so cheap anyway. Then just buy the damn things, people. And then we'll get you. I wanted to. So you're going to be doing your way off tomorrow, you said?
Yep, tomorrow you'll be tied up all day with that.
Okay, well, I'm glad to catch you before that one. So we'll definitely check in and see how that goes down. You never know; they might just roll their truck over from all the weight. The other guy, then
that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. You know what? Keeps you humble, makes you hungry for next year. That you gotta do better, and you gotta keep pushing and educate. So it's all good with me. I'll support my friends. I've still had fun this year. I educated myself some more. And the business has had a great year too, so it's all good here at Wallace Wild.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and check out all the products on his website, and expect to see him on the show a bit more often. And we'll also if you're coming out to Colorado, hopefully we can get you on the show in the studio one day. Would be cool.
Absolutely, I'd love to do that, and hopefully I'll catch you on the 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be down there, and if I do, I'll give you a heads up, and we'll link up and. Hang out together again as we did last time. Sounds good. Thanks, Ron.
It was a good time. Thank you for your time, Adam. I appreciate it, and you have a good night.
Thank you, Ron. Take care, man. Peace.
Yep. Bye.
All right, Mr. Ron Wallace. That was good. He, you can tell he's just moving along, kind of set. Didn't get the ringer this year. That's always a rough one, when you're going for the big daddy.
Yep.
And I originally was going to have him on the show a bunch of times while I was building up, but I didn't realize he fucking harvested so quickly. I was like, damn, I thought he was going to be doing it I thought timing-wise it was during the month, but what the hell do I know?
Right.
Got to pull out early. That was the thing this year, too. It's going to get freezing this weekend, so if you're here and growing in Colorado outdoors, probably need to pull most of those things in this weekend unless you got some real deep ones in the ground, and whatever. Let them do their thing, turn black, and get all.
Yeah.
They will. We get really cold. It's gonna be cold next week, but we grinded through. We got sub cool. Imagine that. See, got cold. Bam, sub cool on the show next week. So check that one out. It's going to be interesting at least, right? And. Not sure who else we'll have on. We'll have someone else on, but might just be the whole 3 hours of Subcool. Who knows? We'll see what we can put together. See you guys then. I want a big shout out to Ace and the boys and little Nick and my wife Cece. I had a little medical scare the other day. Actually, that was kind of a wacky one, and I never do, but. It would have been embarrassing, dude. It was like one of those, I can't believe I'm going out this way. But it was my kid was jumping on my lap. That's how dangerous this is gonna get. My son Nick was jumping on my lap from the table, and he kept jumping on my lap, like maybe 10 times in a row. And it was like whatever, it didn't matter, too much as long as I knew that he was doing it. And then I told him to stop, and he kind of snuck around and came around and gave it one more, and that one more just cramped my fucking leg up, you know what I mean? My leg got a real bad cramp, and it was, but I knew it was like a sciatic nerve or whatever.
Oh no!
And so, and my mom, and I didn't even think about it because he went to bed. First I could feel a cramp, and then he went to bed, and I was downstairs by myself, and then I just felt this thing getting worse and worse. I stood up and I felt a little shaky and weird. And then sat down, and I was Googling fucking MD bullshit, which you never do, right?
Sure.
And
No,
it was herniated disc, right? And I was like, oh no, that's not a good thing, And it was main cause, and then it was aging, and I was like, well, I can't change that. I can't change that. I'm in the target zone, right? And then I realized it was he just fucking well, now I know he pinched a nerve. Now that pinched the nerve, he pinched that sciatic nerve or whatever.
Right.
But I was so fucked that I was laying on my couch, sitting on my couch, and I was like reading about the shit, and I was getting all woozy and fucking starting to trip a little bit. Took off my hoodie, went to stand up, and just like collapsed, right? And then like got a little cut on my nose, crawled over to the bathroom, and then fucking collapsed again. And then tried to go up the stairs and got to where Stacey was with Nick sleeping, and like opened the door. And then like just collapsed into a giant heap again,
Wow.
third time, and was fucked. Like I was like totally like nerves were all going on my legs, and I was twitching, and I was like fucking like it was pretty brutal. It was like one of those weird DMT trip things. I was definitely like
Dude.
it felt like I was doing DMT. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
It was like weird because I was like 1 second I was there, the next I was like kind of like a limp fucking doll on the ground, kind of like what the fuck happened there, you know what I mean? And I was like conscious but couldn't move, you know what I mean? So I was like wanted to move but couldn't, and I was like, oh no. And then I could hear myself talking like kind of like I had a stroke or something. So I was like, oh,
Dude.
did I have a stroke? Like I was
That's
like
crazy.
And then she was sleeping, so I had to like it was definitely weird. It was one of those like falling out, but it was like I was fine. And then I got home, Nick jumped on me about 10 times, and all of a sudden I'm that fucked. I couldn't believe it. I was
That's
like,
weird.
I was like, I can't believe I'm that fucked. Like and
That's
then,
crazy.
Yeah, so it was pretty weird. It was one of those like, oh, I guess I'm dead. Oh well. Oh, who's gonna do the show? That was the last thing I thought as I was there lying on the couch. Like, who the fuck's gonna do the show? No, it was weird. It was that same feeling if you just like woke up and somebody's like, dude, you passed out. You know, that kind of same vibe, but I was totally conscious of the whole thing at the same time. So very weird, very weird. Didn't go get an MRI, didn't do nothing. Just did yoga and turmeric and fucking 2 days of that, and fucking at first I was pretty like
Yeah.
thinking I'm gonna need a cane or something. I actually called Derek up from Incredibles because he's got the whole same crushed. He had his whole lower back got crushed, so he's been feeling that way for years.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, now I know exactly what you feel like. I was like, I think I need a cane. But somehow, yeah, a little bit of yoga and turmeric. Like I said, that was all it needed.
Sweet. Well, that's good to hear, man.
2 things I normally don't do, but I guess
Right?
I guess I do them now. So anyway, be careful out there. Life is fucking, it's pretty crazy when that kind of shit happens, because you're like, oh, dude, is that really all it takes? Like that, and then I can go like to the point where I can't even like stand up, and I'm on the ground and like weird. Anyway, enjoy, guys. See you next week. Sub cool show, and who knows? We'll fill it up. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of call-ins. By the way, this is gonna be the call-in crazy show. So feel free to do it.
All right.
Lines are open. Peace.
Peace.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensibilia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.